Test, test. Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Can you hear me? Do it again. Test, test. Did we ever?
Mic test. 1, 2, 3.
Test, 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 test. See if the volume is turned. Test, test. Test, test. Uh, I can hear really good.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Turn it back on.
Hello, test. Test, test, test.
Mic check. Mic check 1, 2, 3.
Test, test, test. It's like you can barely hear.
No.
Test.
Good evening. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that some commissioners, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom, by phone, or on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak, so the public that is observing knows who is speaking. This is critical given the number of remote participants and is current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. If public comments are allowed on an agenda item, comments should be limited to the topic of that item. Disruptive comments and behaviors are not permitted and may result in removal from the meeting. To ensure an orderly meeting, Sections 917 and 919 of the Rules of Procedure shall be imposed. Questions will be confined to the matter before the assembly. A commissioner will speak for 5 minutes or less at any one time and not more than once on the same issue until all other commissioners have had an opportunity to speak on the matter. Thank you. I will now call this meeting of the Board of Commissioners for December 18, 2025 to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Roll call. Hill,
Here.
Pacheco,
Here.
Lopez,
Here.
Stites, Davis,
Here.
Bynum, Kump,
Here.
Howard,
Here.
Burns,
Here.
Ramirez,
Here.
Watson.
Here. Sounds like everybody's here. The invocation is being given, if she's present, Sister Teresa Bangert, Our Lady St. Rose Catholic Church. Therefore, I would ask if Commissioner Hill and ask everyone to stand and remain standing after the invocation for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow your heads. Father, we just thank you for this another evening. Thank you for our new mayor, our new commissioners, and we just pray that you would cause us to all work together in unison for the betterment of our community, our individuals, families. We just pray that you would help us, oh God, to do what you have called us to do, our hands and feet to be busy about the work that you want us to do. Allow your Holy Spirit, oh God, to take over, put aside all of our personal agendas, and you, Holy Spirit, have the right of way. We just thank you, God, that you love us all and that we recognize that we all fall short. And we just yield ourselves to you and say, have your way on tonight and every night as we are here to do the work of the Lord. In Jesus' name, we thank you and praise you. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'll ask the clerk if there are any revisions to tonight's agenda.
No, Mayor, there are no revisions.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn as the Board of Commissioners and call us back to order as the Wyandotte County Board of Health.
So moved.
David, second.
There's a motion and second. Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Pacheco,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Kump,
Aye.
Howard,
Ah.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
The motion carries 10-0.
Thank you. This evening, we have a presentation from our Wyandotte County Health Department highlighting response to substance abuse. I will ask our administrator, Mr. David Johnston, to introduce the team for presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Board of Health, or the Health Department is required to make a quarterly report to the Board of Health. And they've been waiting about 3 months to do this because of other business when they were scheduled, went late. So they've been anxious to get this report to you. And I am pleased to present our interim health director, Terry Garrison, and she will take over. Terry?
Thank you, County Administrator. And good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. And thank you for the opportunity to present to you this evening as the Board of Health. As David mentioned, my name is Terry Garrison, and it is with great pleasure that I serve as the interim director of the Unified Government Public Health Department. Tonight, we would like to give you a brief update on infectious diseases within the metro area, including our county, and then share with you the exceptional work that is done by our substance misuse and peer support program, and then present information and data from our recent opioid awareness campaign that was done in 2024. I always forget this part. This is our agenda, as I just kind of reviewed. So infectious disease update. Our TB outbreak, our tuberculosis outbreak was declared over on November 14th, 2025 by Kansas Department of Health and Environment. They put out a press release declaring it over. It does not mean that TB is over within Wyandotte County, just that the outbreak of 2024-25 is completed. There are some TB cases across the state and in Wyandotte County each year. The total tuberculosis cases in 2025, according to KDHE data as of December the 10th, In Kansas, there were 49 active cases of tuberculosis and 337 latent tuberculosis. In Wyandotte County, we had 12 active tuberculosis cases and 159 latent tuberculosis cases. And this is outside of the outbreak. Whooping cough or pertussis or whooping cough cases are also on the rise, both in Wyandotte County and other parts of the metropolitan area. So far in 2025, we have seen more than 5 times the number of cases in Wyandotte County than what we had last year in 2024. Pertussis starts with a cold-like symptoms, then gets much worse with severe cough that lasts for weeks or months and can cause difficulty breathing and also fracturing of ribs. The cough becomes so hard. Pertussis can be especially dangerous in infants, and serious complications is common in babies and sometimes requires hospitalizations. The best protection is, of course, vaccination with Tdap and DTaP DTaP for young children and Tdap for preteens, pregnant women, and adults who have not received a Tdap before. Also, measles exposure, as many of you probably heard on the news about in November, there was an active measles case reported. It was a Kansas resident, and they were reported as known exposures at the Kansas City International Airport on November 5th and November 10th. And though there was no actual exposure here in Kansas because of the KCI and many of those individuals going to multiple different places within the metro and also seeing many of the out-of-town visitors, it does present a potential exposure to our jurisdiction. There has been a massive increase in measles in the United States this year. 1,958 cases so far in 2025, compared to only 285 cases in 2024, and 59 cases in 2023. Again, the best protection for measles is the recommended MMR vaccine for children and adults who do not have immunity to measles. So now that I've shared about our some of our infectious diseases within the local area, we would now like to share with you about our substance misuse and peer support program. And so in order to do that, I would like to introduce our Community Health Division Manager, Wesley McCain.
And I'm gonna take this off. I promise it's not COVID, it's just a cold. So I'm Wesley McCain. Like Terry said, it's a pleasure to be here and address all of you tonight. So substance use. In August of this year, the Sunflower Foundation, who manages the opioid funds for Kansas, released a state needs assessment. And among other things, they found that in Wyandotte County, we were in all of the state of Kansas, Wyandotte County was the county that had the biggest difference between treatment need and treatment capacity. So there's a huge need in our county for treatment for substance use. And they also found that across Kansas, and these numbers apply for our county too, that 1 in 5 Kansans met the criteria for substance use disorder, which includes alcohol and drug use. And if you kind of extrapolate those numbers for the county, which I thought was a wild number, if you extrapolate that for the county, that means that 25,000 adults in the county qualify for substance use disorder for either drugs or alcohol. So this is not a issue that is only, people who live on the street or kind of the stereotypical person that you think of about that. It's an issue that affects a lot of people in our county. Just a real brief things about the settlement funds. At the end of last year, we were allocated money for Narcan and money to do some outreach to our community. Nordia from Mark is here, almost. Nordia from Mark is here. She's going to talk a little bit about some of our outreach work that we're going to be building on with those funds. We've handed out 2,000 doses of Narcan this year. Just in case anybody doesn't know, Narcan is a drug that I wish I knew the actual medical name for it, but essentially if people are overdosing, it brings them back. Agonist, I think there's a doctor who almost, antagonist, yes. And so it is used very regularly by people in our community and asked for quite a bit as well, and has saved a lot of people's lives. These are the four, we have 4 elements of our substance use program, Narcan, we have harm reduction kits, we convene a recovery collective, and then we have our peer support services, and I'll go briefly through each of those. Just really briefly, the harm reduction, that's a word that's been in the news a lot. Harm reduction is the health department's efforts to keep people alive and safe who are in their recovery journey, whether they're currently using drugs or not. And we do that for 2 reasons at the health department. One, because we value human life, and we think that people who are using drugs deserve to be safe and alive. And second, because the relationships that our peers and other people who do this work in the community form with people who are using allows us to offer treatment services and other services to them and form relationships. And so there's a lot of research that shows that this type of work, where we're handing out Narcan, we're handing out the test strips so they can test their drugs, that more people get into treatment who have that kind of intervention than who don't get those services. So it's kind of a win-win for us. Now, Nordia, one thing we started doing this year is we put together some kits for this. We've handed out about 250 of these in the community. We have Narcan in it. There's a lot of things. We have a lot of hygiene supplies, first aid supplies. There's condoms, there's gun locks. You can kind of see the different parts that are in there, but these are very popular with people. They're handed out by the police department co-responders, by cross lines, by transitional housing folks, by lowriders to success. There's just a lot of folks who really use these and appreciate these. Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We also convene a recovery collective, which is a group of treatment providers and people who provide direct services to people who use substances. This group meets every other month. They share information, network. I'm really excited because in 2026 they're going to be hosting a recovery summit, which is the first one, I think. Don't think we've ever had one of those in the county before, which would be an opportunity for people to share resources and information and also get together and talk about their work, and we can thank them because the work of working with people who are in addiction is very, very challenging. It's personally difficult. A lot of people are in a lot of, have a lot of issues. Not everybody recovers the first time. And so there's a lot of sort of camaraderie in it that we don't have if we don't have events like this. So that's another thing that we're really excited to be able to provide next year. And then the crown jewel of our program is our peer support services. We have a Department of Justice grant that funds 2 peers in our health department. These are people who have a direct experience with substance use recovery, and they meet people who are in their early stages. They provide emotional support. They connect them with resources. They work to work through a lot of the shame issues. Like I said, a lot of people who are recovering from substance use, they have broken a lot of their relationships. Their lives are unstable. They might not have, job instability, housing instability. There's all the shame issues, emotional issues. So they need a lot of support, and it's not just from people in the clinic. They need support from people who have directly experienced that. And it's very effective. And one of the things I like to say about health department, we do heart work and head work. So we love helping people, but we also like doing things that work. And there's a lot of evidence that this does work. And so this is, and I will also, last thing I'll say on this is, so this is paid for through a Department of Justice grant. We were also able to fund through that grant a licensed psychologist in the drug court and the behavioral court, which allows them, they have to assess people who are going through that court to make sure that they qualify for that court. And before they were having to outsource that work, people were taking, it was taking 3 weeks sometimes to get those people assessed into the court, which means that they were in jail for 3 weeks before they could get assessed and move through that process. Now it's a couple of days. So that's been a really, really great partnership, and we have a great partnership with those courts. Real quick, a quote. There's no better way to know if your program works than to ask people. So we interviewed folks. Here's a couple quotes. I really like this last one. Social support aspect of recovery. Heather, this is about Heather, has lived experience, so the mentorship piece is great. I'm able to grow my sobriety network with her. I'm not court ordered to attend, but I grow my community and I know my neighbor. I really like that quote. Here's our folks. Kara is our coordinator. Heather and Tino are our peers. I'd love to put you in contact with any of these people. And then the very final slide before I introduce Nordia, I just want to say thank you to the commission for the investment that you made in the health department during COVID. The very first staff person that we had at the health department that worked on substance use was from ARPA funds. And that established our program. And then that individual working with other folks in the health department was able to raise $1.7 million to grow the program. We've added staff. We've added all the things that I talked about today. So if you all hadn't invested in the health department, we would not have a program right now. And so I just want to say thank you for that, and really appreciate you all caring about this issue. So, and I will I will kick it over to Nordia for Mark, who will talk about our campaign. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Nordia Epps. I'm with the Mid-America Regional Council, and just wanted to take you through our campaign that we did in 2024 regarding opioid awareness. So a little bit of background. Mark was aware of the funds that would be coming in from the settlement for opioid awareness. And so public health departments around the area came to us and said, what can we do to kind of have a united message? And so we went through an RFP process and selected a consultant that went through all the data for the region and also interviewed people with lived experience and put together some messages and images, all of this with input from public health directors and folks around the area. So then we launched a pilot campaign just with some MARC funds, a small amount of funds. And then in 2024, UG Public Health came to us and said, can you help us put on a campaign for the United government in particular? So we basically used a lot of the data and the messages that came forth in all of that research. And this is who we targeted, because that's what the research said, was the people who are most impacted. And then we had a budget of $170,000 that you guys gave us, and that's how it was spent, basically, with different types of advertisement that I'll go through as we go through here. So first of all, some outdoor ads. Hopefully some of y'all saw these back in 2024, if you can remember back then. But for outdoor ads, those are basically the signs on the sides of those buses that ride around Wyandotte County. And then we also had some signs, you know how everywhere you go these days, there are digital signs at the gas station, at the gym, different places like that. We also had some for areas that were in Wyandotte County. So the bus signs, a lot of data there, but basically 31 buses in the county had the signs on them, and it ran from June to August. Lots of impressions, and basically impressions are they estimate based on, traffic and population and all of that, how many times the message was likely to have been seen. So it looks high, and there's no way to say, yes, 9.7 million people actually saw, but that's a good way to measure the potential for it to have been seen as the buses were driving around the area. Also had some billboards that were in Wyandotte County. The same thing there, how much we spent and the impressions. And also want to talk a little bit about the messaging. It said today's drugs are different, and this was all data that was brought about when they spoke with people with lived experience and different things, as Wes was talking about, not trying to shame people, but today's drugs are different. If you're going to use, test for fentanyl, carry naloxone, and never use alone. We had the outdoor signs I was talking about at different locations throughout Wyandotte County in Spanish and in English. Moving on to audio, we had radio spots on those radio stations that you can see there, as well as some streaming on Pandora and Spotify. And that's the spot basically said. I won't go through it, but the same idea of just making sure that the message resonated and was carried throughout the whole campaign, basically. So then here are the different radio stations, how much we spent, and how much, about 2,300 spots. Lots of people heard it. And then just a little bit more about streaming when we're able, when you're marketing, you like data. So people are able to actually hear the spots. If they're, if they have Spotify and Pandora, they can't just skip through it and somebody's listening. So there's a little bit more confidence that people heard the spots. And then there's also an image that they can click. And so that's the data there showing us that people were listening and hearing. The same thing with the streaming on Odyssey, which I don't know if you guys remember way back, they used to be Entercom, and now they do streaming on radio.com. So then online, we're able to basically target the audience that you want to target and follow them around the internet. I know you probably have tried to search for something and then you see the same thing over and over wherever you go on the internet. We did that type of thing for people who are in Wyandotte County and then also would search different things across the internet through Carter radio station, which is the radio station that has KPRS. And lots of clicks there. And I won't go through all the numbers, but basically when you measure advertising, you try to look at benchmarking and see how other ads of similar types did. And all these ads performed above average, which is about 0.05% across the board. Same thing with Cumulus, another radio station group around here. They sent ads to people around this area. And then through the Kansas City Star, we were able to send e-blasts to our target audience. So in English and in Spanish and, people who are age 18 to 24, as well as people who are African Americans, they were served these ads. And again, the results above average there. Just kind of showing, sometimes we sent the ads to First Call KC, but we were able to update the Wyandotte County Public Health Department website that talked about where you can find Narcan and different things like that. And you can see the spikes on the website when we were able to update and send some of the ads. So more kind of proof that people were going to the website because of the ads. Reyes Media Station, we were sending some ads there. Steel City, another radio station in the area that has Q104, Mix 93, those types of stations, sending some ads there. And then commuter ads are ads that basically audio message that play inside the buses as they're driving around and as they reach a certain location. So we gave them locations in Wyandotte County and said, play the ads when they get to these locations. And that's the message that was played. And it was in English and Spanish. And finally, I don't know if it's finally, but social media, we also targeted messages to people on social media. those are the results from the different types of vendors that we use for social media. And again, above average for the results there. Snapchat, because we're trying to reach young people, that was one way to do it. And again, had some good results there. And then just a look at the overview, we spent $170,000. There were about 30.3 million impressions. So that's the amount of times that the message might have been seen. And we look at the CPM there, the last one, the cost per thousand, to see whether you have an affordable campaign, which that's really low. That's some of the among the lowest that I've seen for all the advertising I do with Mark. And again, we wanted to measure success based on impressions. Of course, the number of times people clicked on the ads that we told them to. We measured the web visits to First Call KC, and then also the calls to First Call KC during the time. And that, pretty impressive. They tripled the number of calls during the time that we were running the campaign. Also, twice as much people visited the website during the times that we were running the campaign. So people definitely heard the ads, and they were doing what we asked them to do, which was to call and to click. And that's kind of a quick overview, hopefully, of our campaign. And I'm happy to answer any questions now, or you can email me later if you'd like.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to present the information for both our peer support as well as our awareness campaign that we did. This year, we've also completed our annual report, and we would like to offer a copy of those to all of you, as well as our CHIP booklet. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what CHIP stands for, but it's our Community Health Improvement Plan. And it's a 5-year health improvement plan for the county. And so we don't yet have our year 3 booklet, but we do have copies of our year 2 booklet. And we'd like to share those with you, as well as we did an art contest for a 2026 calendar, and we have those available. If you've not yet received one of those, we would love to share one with you. We shared them with several of the libraries, and they've already ran out of the ones we gave them, so we had to do a reprint and get some more for the libraries and for the community to use. So we have all of those available here for all of you. And if you would like others, please let us know, and we'll be glad to share those with you. And we stand for any questions.
Thank you. Does any member of the commission have any comments or questions? Ramirez? Your light was on.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want one question to the TB, and it's just a question just for community as well to know. What's the difference between active and latent cases?
So active latent is where they can spread the tuberculosis infection to other individuals. Latent is what we call sleepy TB. So it's in their system, but it's not active. They can't spread it, but it can become active at any certain time. So we still treat it in order for it not to become active and be infectious and be able to be spread.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that differentiation was made out there
Thank you.
between what you said were the active cases and the latent cases. Just overall, I want to thank the health department. During COVID, you guys were the face of our government for some time, keeping us safe, and you're doing that now. Thank you to all the work for substance use. Just like our houseless individuals, they are human beings and they are residents too, and they need the help, all help they need. So thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez. Commissioner Bynum?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the Health Department. Also, thank you to Mid-America Regional Council for all your efforts with the media and outreach. That's awesome. But I just want to say thank you to the Health Department for all that you do every day for the community and the TB numbers strike me as still high. Is it still high? That sounds high.
Yes, there's not a vaccination for TB, and we have a very diverse population, and we have a very mobile population within our whole jurisdiction and within the metropolitan area. We have an international airport, not that far away from us. So tuberculosis is endemic in some areas of the world still. Not so much here in the United States, but and it can be easily spread if someone is inactive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bynum. Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay, cool. Sorry, just mic is a little weird. I echo all of the comments of my colleagues. Thank you all so much for the work that you do in your department. And I'm glad that we're going to get to Chip. You took off one of my questions about it because that was something I was looking forward to. If we can get an invite to the summit, you all just let us know when that's happening for the Recovery Summit. We'd love to support you all, and I'm sure it would up the morale of folks, just for folks to see that leaders in their community, elected leaders, are interested and invested in their work. I do have one question. We have heard for a while about Wyandotte County being towards the bottom of social health determinants, and there are a lot of factors that go into that. Is that still the case? I know it's still challenging, but have we made any gains in bettering our community so that we are not at the bottom and moving towards a healthy, more prosperous community?
They no longer do the health rankings. Thank you. The Robert Wood Johnson's health rankings. They don't do that across the board anymore as far as, ranking each county or each state or anything like that. However, we have a lot of data within our own as far as the data we keep. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Wesley, or not. But so I would say on some fronts, we have made progress. On some fronts, we still have a way to go.
Sure. And maybe in kind of the next update, hopefully it doesn't take as long, we could hear what just we are, but love to see what we can do to increase our health in our community and where there's opportunities for us to make those investments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Evelyn Hill, District 4. Thank you for your report on this evening. Just one quick question. Your peer support specialists, especially, I just wanted to highlight it. I see you get referrals from several different agencies here in the community. Do you have a collective number of how many people have taken advantage of that peer support opportunity?
I was actually looking for that data for tonight. I know we have between May of this year and December this year, it's 52 people who have come mostly through our drug court program. Some people we meet, we go out with cross lines to serve the unhoused too. So I don't have the total number since the beginning of the program, but I know there's been that amount since May.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you plan on, for future reports, kind of having those numbers in place?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, we do.
okay.
Yep,
Thank
yeah,
you.
we have evaluation, we have a evaluation partner with KU. And so they do our numbers and reports for us. I just didn't get it in time for the meeting tonight, so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Pacheco.
Thank you, Mayor. Carlos Pacheco, District 5. A couple questions about the Today's Drugs Are Different campaign. One thing that I noticed is a lot of clicks and impressions and things like that. What are you all planning or maybe already trying to do to really get an idea of how many of these things are actually turning into the positive outcomes that we're looking for, like less emergency room visits, overdoses that are reversed, referrals, things like that. Anything to that end that we're already tracking as people get onto the website, call the number. Saw 17,000 people called. Of those 17,000 people, where do we see them filtering into places that give them the care and the resources that they need?
If you would, yeah.
That's a great question. So we, First Call is an agency on the Missouri side that they're kind of like a 24/7 call center for people who need assistance. They had the number of calls. So people will call in and then it's like, what's your issue? What resources do you need? If they need a peer support, they can connect them to peers. If they need other resources, if they need treatment. We were able to get the call data and the website data. We were not able to get the data on like the people who came from Wyandotte County and what they were referred to. It doesn't mean it's impossible to do that. There was a little bit of staff transition as that program was ending, and so it was just a bit tough to be able to keep that evaluation component on that program going. But that's something, we have some more comms money that we're kind of looking at doing, and that's one thing that we talked about was kind of the importance of following it all the way to the end. So your question makes me think of going back to First Call and seeing if there is a way. I know they said that they do have the zip code of the individuals who called, so it'd be interesting to kind of go back and see like, okay, to the end, can you tell us like who called during those months? Were they referred to what services? I think that's a really, really important thing to do. So,
Thank you, Mayor.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, comments? All right, thank you, Health
Thank you.
Department. We appreciate you. Look forward to seeing your next report. This item was for information only. All right, that concludes the Board of Health portion of our meeting, and I adjourn us in that capacity. I will entertain a motion to adjourn as the Board of Health and call us back to order as the Land Bank Board of Trustees.
Fine, so moved.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call, please.
Can I get clarification on who actually made the motion, please? And the second? Thank you. Roll call, Hill,
Aye.
Pacheco,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Hump,
Aye.
Howard.
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, Clerk. All right, as we get into the Land Bank Board of Trustees, does any member of the commission or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the Land Bank consent agenda? None? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Davis, so moved.
Second. Ramirez.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call, Hill,
Aye.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Kump.
Aye.
Howard.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez. Motion carries 10-0.
Great. That concludes the portion of our meeting as the Land Bank Board of Trustees, and I adjourn us in that capacity. I will entertain a motion to adjourn as the Land Bank Board of Trustees and call us back to order as the Board of Commissioners.
Comes from motion.
Second.
Who was the second?
Who was the second? Burns. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Hill,
Aye.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Kump.
Aye.
Howard.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you. That takes us to the regular consent agenda. Does any member of the commission or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? If an item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to set aside 7.1 just for a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? All right, that takes us to the set aside item. Clerk, can you repeat that?
Mayor, would you like to vote on the remaining consent items first?
Yes.
Bynum moved to approve all remaining items on the regular consent agenda.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Kump,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Motion carries 10-0.
Okay, that takes us to the set aside item. Clerk, please read the item.
Under our regular consent agenda, this is item 7.1, a resolution, approval of a resolution to adopt the update to the purchasing policy.
Are there any questions or comments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Questions for Dr. Knieven. When when I was reading through this, it was kind of resetting the thresholds because our policy said something else, but there was a memo sent out saying something else. Are there any thresholds where we as the commission have to approve procurement or contracts in our purchasing policy?
No, there is not, but all contracts have to be signed by the county administrator. That is a authority delegated to that position. So they don't come to the commission for approval. Now, if something was not budgeted, then that budget action would come forward to the commission. But the whole administrative process is to make sure there's checks and balances so that if a department has a need, it goes through a purchasing process through the purchasing department to make sure it's procured in a competitive way. Then the budget department checks to make sure the budgeted funds are there. Then the legal department gets involved to do the contract, and then ultimately the county administrator will sign. So there's a lot of steps of the process, but they don't come to the actual commission.
Okay, because I've done my own research of looking at other cities, Casey Mo, Johnson County, just in the region, and there's a lot of cities that have thresholds where after a certain dollar amount of a procurement or a contract, that it has to be approved by their city council, just as transparency and just to maintain fiscal responsibility. I didn't know if we had that type of thresholds or not.
We do not. My understanding is that we never have. It hasn't been a part of the process here. But you're right, there are other governments, I've worked at several that do it differently, and those thresholds vary. I think Kansas City, Missouri might be, if the contract is more than $1 million, then it has to go to council. I may be wrong on that amount, but what we did do is we looked at what the other cities require in terms of procurement, and when do you get just 3 quotes? When do you actually do a sealed bid? And our thresholds that we've been following, which is per the memo, are in line with all the other cities. So as far as the procurement process goes, we're right in line with that. But whether or not we change that process in the future, that's something that certainly we could survey other communities. We could bring it back to a committee and have a discussion if that's something you wanted to pursue as a commission.
Okay. I would just, and if as a collective, if there is that consensus, I would. It's just an extra, as you mentioned, a check and balance. Just to make sure we're staying within fiscal responsibility and staying within budget. And I'm sure our budget folks, you all make sure we are staying within and under budget. It's just something I've noticed from all other cities around in the region, and I was just curious if we had that or not. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez. Commissioner Kump.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm just wanted to confirm, we have this in our agenda item, this memo from November of 2020 that sets these purchasing limits. And this is basically what we're doing is housekeeping and updating our policy to match that. We're not actually raising these numbers. We've been using this for 5 years, and it's just to reflect that internally.
That is correct. And we thought it was a better communications tool to have just the policy be consistent. And honestly, I haven't been here quite 2 years, but it was one of the first things I noticed and I thought it was confusing and I apologize, but I hadn't gotten to the point of bringing it forward because it hadn't been brought forward after 2020 during COVID. And I think it was just, all the things that happened after COVID, it just kind of fell between the cracks of getting this housekeeping cleaned up, like you said. But no, it's not changing anything that we're doing in current practice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. County Administrator.
Well, I just want to also add, however, add to the answer to Commissioner Ramirez. Our budget process deals with a lot of items that will require a contract, and it is brought to your attention, commissioners, through the budget process. And in essence, if it's included in the budget, you pass the budget, and therefore then becomes a managerial action after that. But as Dr. Knieven mentioned, if something comes up during the fiscal year that wasn't addressed within the budget, the large items must come before you for review and approval.
Thank you, County Administrator. If there are no other comments or questions, I will entertain a motion.
Bynum, move to approve the resolution as submitted.
Comp second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Hill.
Aye.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Kump.
Aye.
Howard.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you. We're now in standing committees. We have one item under the standing committee's agenda this evening. This item is an ordinance amending Chapter 15, Article 4, related to fireworks. This item was heard by the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee, chaired by Commissioner Burrows on December 8, 2025. I'll ask our legal department to make some remarks.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is Delaney Lankachandra with the UG Legal Department. Our current ordinance in KCK allows the temporary sale of fireworks from June 29th to July 4th every year. This ordinance would push that start date back 2 days to June 27th. That would bring us in line with neighboring jurisdictions like Bonner Springs and Edwardsville, in addition to Shawnee and Spring Hill, also in Kansas. The ordinance would also soften the 10 p.m. Hard sales stop every night that firework sales are allowed. Currently, sales aren't allowed at all past 10 p.m. This would allow customers who enter the facility by 10 p.m. to complete their purchase, even if it occurs a little bit after the cutoff time. I am happy to answer any questions. We also have Captain Burton Richardson from the fire department to field any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the information. I can appreciate mirroring nearby communities, but I do have a number of questions. I don't sit on Public Works and Safety Standing Committee, but I sat in the meeting and listened to this discussion, and I'm wondering, Captain Richardson, I have kind of more fire department specific questions about this potential change, if you don't mind coming to the podium and introduce yourself by name and title every time you speak.
Captain Barton Richardson, Kansas Fire Department.
Thank you. So how many inspectors do we currently have in the fire department?
Everyday inspectors, the department has 5. We have one ancillary person who also serves as our in-first person but they're not actually out in the street every day doing.
And
everyday
how many
inspections.
permits do we issue on average
So
annually?
last year we had 31 stands.
31?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell us about, maybe describe, like, what is that fire inspector's day like during these days from June 29 to July 4th? Like, what's the typical day like for that person?
Okay, so in the fire prevention department, we refer to it as fireworks season because it actually starts long before that day because with every fireworks submittal, there's people who want, sometimes they change their plans or they want to move the location, not necessarily the address, but just the actual location of the stand because maybe they want or need additional parking or something else has come up. So we have to approve the sites. We have to go view the sites first, approve them, make sure there's no other like overhanging lines, all things public safety involved. So it actually starts before that. But then on the actual June 29th, so to speak, at 9 a.m., we have to start checking them in. So checking them in, checking the stands in means that we are checking that the inventory that they have ordered, the inventory that's supposed to be on site is actually there. So if you say you have, for lack of a better term, 100 of these things, you don't have 200 because you have leftover inventory from last year. So see, all that kind of stuff has to be reported and turned into the fire marshal's office at the end of the year. The paperwork always has to match. So whatever you're selling has to be what you're turning in as far as sales receipts. So we're checking that. We're checking to make sure they have the proper extinguishers, they have proper egresses. They're not storing other hazardous materials within the stands themselves. And in many ways, it's a security purpose. We're in and out because there's people sitting in parking lots doing God knows what throughout the day because it's in large part a cash business. And there are stands that get robbed every year.
I was going to ask a question about that. I had anecdotally heard of fireworks stands being victims of crime, basically, held up at gunpoint
Right.
and other, types of incidents at fireworks stands. And so do we have any police patrolling that's also happening during these times?
So the stand owners have the ability to either hire off-duty police officers or provide their own security.
Okay.
However, I mean, I'm just being real, the police officers have their own job during the week of the 4th of July. So to ask them to say, hey, don't pay attention to any other thing that's going on over here, need you to come pay attention to the fireworks stand is it can be hectic. There's more people in the city because it's a holiday. With this upcoming season, year, it's going to be ridiculous. We have the World Cup is coming. And then it's the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So you'll see more sales, possibly more stands, but definitely more people popping. So,
Mr. Richardson, could you
yes.
just speak up a little
Oh,
more?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just speak directly into the mic.
Yeah,
That might help.
thank you.
Yes.
And speaking of the 250, does the fire department anticipate more stands this year?
Can't-
Or,
Can't say. I mean, every year fluctuates somewhere between 30 and 35. It's actually gone down over what it was in like 2019. I think they had 42 at that point with only 3 inspectors. So, I mean, the prevention department has actually grown. We've added two additional people. The number of stands has gone down. So there's only, in the 31 stands, there's only actual 18 individual owners. So many of these owners have multiple stands. 6 of them, I believe, also have actual businesses within Wyandotte County, and less than half of them live here.
and so those variety are operating a stand in addition to their business that
Yes.
they already operate?
Yes.
Okay. This year, if we back up the selling dates to 8 days of selling rather than 6, the 27th and 28th, just this year just happens to fall on a weekend. So is that overtime?
It would be.
Any notion whatsoever of what that overtime cost would be this year for 5 inspectors to work 2 days, all day, both days? I don't know.
They're 14-hour days.
14
So,
hours, okay.
And I need to put a pin in that real quick because I need to speak to what you had stated about, because this is a 2-part question. One was the additional days, but the 2 was the flexibility on the hours.
Yeah.
So the flexibility of hours means that we don't know when we get off, because we don't get off or the stand's not closed until it's empty. So that there is no such thing as a soft close. That stand has to be empty. Nobody else in that stand for any multitude of reasons. I mean, it's going against the fire code to have people. If we leave that stand and say, are you good? And they say, yeah, we'll close when these people leave. It doesn't, we
I
can't
see.
allow that. We might be out till 11 o'clock at that point.
So that sounds like a bit of an issue if we were to soften the closing time
It would
and
be
not
more-
make it a hard 10 PM.
It would be a lot more than a bit of an issue. So if you go into Sam's Club and Sam's Club will start telling you 10 minutes before it's time to close, the store's closing, come to the front with your stuff right now. You don't get to keep shopping just because you walk into Sam's at 8:58. They want you out of the store. They have to send their people home. The registers are closed. I mean, they have things that they have to do. There's 5 inspectors closing 31 stands. So depending on what part of the city you have, one day you might have 7. South End is a bigger, and then the territory is wide. So when I say South End, we start at 737 Kansas Avenue. We loop all the way up Rainbow and back down around Mission Road and down Merriam Lane. That's all considered South End. So when you go down Merriam Lane, you're going all the way to South 24th Street. That has nothing to do with the stands that are in Argentine or Turner even, because they're, and I think there's only one in Turner now where it used to be 2. The one at South 55th was not there last year. Doesn't mean it won't be there again this year though. So but back to the extra days, as far as overtime, you're talking 5 people working 2 14-hour days, which
Okay.
is 28 additional overtime hours at $75 an hour. So it's like, it's not, is it crazy? No.
But-
Can it be managed? Sure. Could we do it? Sure, we could do it. But that cost probably needs to go to the stand owners, not the Wyandotte County citizens. Because
yeah.
if I'm being honest, I don't think every stand owner wants to be open.
So they could optionally be open or not. They
Sure.
could choose to not be.
Okay,
but
so-
then that business is going
So
somewhere
according
else who's
to
open.
the UG policy, they're allowed to open on June 29th.
Okay.
Many of them might not open until July 1st because they don't have their stand ready
Mhm.
or their product's not in. They're just not ready to sell. If it rains, it changes things. So they don't all do it for 6 days. We're talking July heat in Kansas City, Kansas. So it's intense for those people that are intense. I think there's 4 stands, if I'm not mistaken, 737 Kansas, there's 45th and Rainbow, there's Tim Collard, 314 North James, and there's one more. There's only 4 that are actually indoors. So you're talking air-conditioned sales throughout the day. Other than that, people are intense, and the weather's the weather.
Mhm. And do you, or Chief, any data at all on any crime associated with the operators having to deal with any crime? Any data on that available? Or has it been asked? Has it been looked at?
No one has asked me about that. And other than the fact that in our day-to-day, they'll say, hey, can you swing by again tonight? Because the stand owners talk to each other. So they say, hey, we heard there was a robbery at this place. The one in James Street was hit twice last year, back-to-back nights. And then the second one, the year before, and then the one, James, they backed up to the back of the building and took out of there. The one on South 18th in front of Sunfresh, they just pulled up on the off-ramp from I-70 and ran product down the hill. So it's
Okay.
and then the one by Quick Trip, 78th Street, that was gunpoint last year. And I was there within minutes of that happening.
Chad Womble, Kansas City, Kansas Fire Department. Really, the data regarding the crime isn't something that we've collected. That would really come from the police department.
Right.
So we don't have any hard data on that. We have the experience of our inspectors from talking, so it's really anecdotal, but the data would need to come from the police department.
And I just was curious if anyone had asked for that data ever.
So not for me directly, but I work for the fire marshal. So Chief Droppelman, as these stand owners turn in their stuff, because they have to report it daily. If your inventory list is saying one thing and all of a sudden the product's not there, they usually call and say, hey, we had this issue going on that night, so we have to go out and take pictures and stuff like that. So the fire marshal have to speak directly to that as far as if anybody's ever asked before.
Okay. I just, these are questions that I thought of as I watched the meeting, as I got ready for tonight, just things that I feel like haven't been fully explored. I would make a request of the commission to either send this back to the standing committee. I don't know which is the appropriate action, sending it back to the standing committee just to have a little bit more full discussion about these issues that I didn't hear a lot about at the standing committee level, or a hold here for 1 month. I'm just not sure which the appropriate action is. And my fellow commissioners may not even agree with me, but I would request a little bit more contemplation. Yes.
Commissioner Delaney Lankachandra, UG Legal Department. I might just add that this was seen before ED&F, before you might consider sending it to Public Works and Safety.
Oh, it was at ED&F?
Yes.
I see. So we could send it to Public Works and Safety as an option.
I actually have a question. I don't even know who
Okay.
I should be tabling this to. The request to extend the days so that we match, I believe it's Bonner, Edwardsville, Shawnee, and Spring Hill. That's the other city you said. The stands in Edwardsville, Bonner, and Shawnee total aren't even half of what Wyandotte County has. Shawnee has 7. Shawnee has 7. I don't know what Bonner Springs and Edwardsville have, but when you combine them together, it's not the same thing. Number 2, Shawnee for a stand is $4,500 a stand. In Wyandotte County, it starts at $1,100 and goes up to $1,400 depending on the size of the stand. So we, again, as inspectors, as an employee, doesn't matter to me if we're working those 2 additional days. My only question is, of the 31 stand, well, there's 18 individual stand owners that have 31 stands. I have a hard time believing all 18 of those people want additional days.
Okay.
They want it, and at what point is it 1 stand owner? Is it 3 stand owners? Is it 5? That are asking for this, because what it does is, if we are gonna roll this start cost back down to the front of them, shouldn't they all be in agreement with paying more? Because at the end of the day, when they turn in their fireworks packet to the business licensing to get their fireworks permit, they're gonna get hit with a larger bill.
Mayor, I may have used my 5 minutes.
Yeah, you did. That's okay.
you.
It was an interesting conversation. Commissioner Stites.
So, by the way, Bonner and Edwardsville are in Wyandotte County, by the way. I know some of us don't think that that's the case, but they are. And if they don't, the additional days, this doesn't mean they have to be open. If they don't want to be open,
Right.
they're not open. It's not mandatory that they open up the additional days. So if they don't want it, they don't open. As far as the security, I did it when I was a police officer. I worked off-duty security. There's no additional drain on the police department for security. Yes, there's the patrol, just like they patrol anywhere. So they hire off-duty police officers to man the security if they feel like they need security. They have that option. Also, does the police department or the fire department not flex the ability to flex hours?
We do have the ability to flex hours.
The overtime could be absorbed just by flexing the fire department's hours to cover the additional days, right? So instead of being off whatever it is, Saturday, Sunday, you're this week only, you're off Tuesday, Wednesday to cover these. No, zero additional cost to the taxpayer.
So let me ask you, if we're flexing,
Here's the thing, I'm not answering questions, I'm asking.
Yes, but over an 8-day period, our inspectors would need to be available all of those days. So it'd be difficult to flex those hours and give them Tuesday and Wednesday off when that Tuesday and Wednesday also falls within that 8-day period. We would need them all of those days.
So would it be possible to get other trained to be in fire? Like, for instance, Bonner Springs doesn't have as far as I know, they don't have a certified inspector for fireworks stands, right? They're fire officers or firemen, they handle it. So couldn't a rig that is stationed in these areas, couldn't they go by and do this inspection while they're on duty?
We could certainly do that, but part of the problem with that is number one, now you're taking that rig away from direct public safety when they may be needed to do a fire inspector's job. Secondly, and probably more importantly, the fire inspectors go through specific training regarding fireworks to deal with the explosives, to know exactly what to inspect. They went out of town for a class. I believe they went to St. Joe for this class. So they have specific training for that. To be frank, I don't have that training, but they do. And they're specifically trained for this particular function.
Okay. And all right, go ahead, sir.
I need to add on. So I think I need to clarify something. Yes, we all are the fire department, but it's simply not a plug and play job. There's so many different facets of it that
I didn't catch what you said. I'm sorry, it was hard.
I
Did
said
you
there's
say
so many
plug and
different facets of the fire department that it would be impossible to just take, anytime that you remove somebody from one area, that area is now lacking. Public safety is the main thing. So if I take people, there's suppression and then there's prevention. Fire inspectors, which is my title, that's on the prevention side. Fire suppression is where the rigs lie. So my one car assigned to me by the city is the only one that's in service for the fireworks week. If I take $1 million fire truck and ask it and its crew to now go do fire inspections, they're not available to run EMS calls or fire calls. It's no different than if somebody was, so we have USAR, which is Urban Search and Rescue. We have hazmat. We have all these different components. When the call goes into dispatch, that particular unit is what's assigned to that call. We don't have the ability to say, well, go handle this simply because we're all work for the fire department.
I appreciate that, and but I'm a little bit confused. So if they got a call while they were at the fireworks stand, couldn't they say, this isn't an emergency, we got a call, we got to roll, we'll be back in a bit, when we don't have a call? And then also, I mean, isn't that what they do when they're at Walmart or the grocery store and they take the rig up and park in the park up there to go grocery shopping? If something happens, they go, you know what, drop the groceries, we got to go handle this call, we'll be back.
Certainly, but when they're at the grocery store, what they're doing isn't necessarily time sensitive. At closing time for the fireworks stands, that is a time sensitive function. They can't just up and leave, and they may be gone for a half hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours, depending on what type of call it is. If it's a structure fire, all of the units in the area may have to go. Now we have no one in that area to do the inspection for the fireworks stand as they're closing, which has to be done each night. Same thing with opening. We could have the same situation with opening. And I just have to reiterate that they're not specifically trained for that function, and it isn't necessarily a training that we just offer in-house.
So would that hard stop that you're saying they need to be at, could that not be handled by not an inspector, but maybe the off-duty policeman that's working there or security? If there's a hard stop, really, we're just trying to make sure that that's enforced, right? It doesn't need, you're not going to be standing at all 31 stations. You can't be.
That's correct.
Right. So we could, if the ones that elect to have the additional days or the hard stop, we could make sure that they, for one, we don't even know how many of them it's going to be. I mean, it may be that we have the manpower to address it, but we could also have that the off-duty, if they hire off-duty security, they could enforce that. Hey, it's closed, we're done. Just like any bar does to enforce closing time, it's time to go. They don't have a fireman there to do that.
So you're right. They're not at all 31 stands right at 10 o'clock to enforce the hard stop. It's been my experience, and I haven't been in, Captain Richardson is by far the subject matter expert on this. I'm not, but it has been on my experience in the years that I've assisted with this, that even though there's a 10 o'clock hard stop time, many of the stands will call in anytime within 30 minutes of that to stop early. And there's inventory issues that we have to do regarding that. As far as the off-duty police officer that we're assuming is going to be there for security, That's not mandated anywhere. So there's no mandate that there's going to be an off-duty security officer there to be a hard stop.
And maybe we look at that, right? If maybe that gets played into this, if we are going to have these hard stops and the additional days, that you will have off-duty officers hired for security, right? It's possible.
That is certainly something that would
Or a
be,
security element, I should.
that would be outside of the scope of
Right.
the fire department
Sure.
to say.
Sure. That-
I
and
do want to also comment that if we do add the additional 2 days, yes, you're right, all 31 or 35 or whatever it is may not opt to be open those days. But if there are stands within each of the regions within our city, we still are going to need the fire inspectors to go hit those and to go do their rounds throughout that time. So we would still have to plan for, even if we had 15, we're still going to have our fire inspectors available and out doing openings, periodic inspections, as well as closing.
Thank you. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The part of the changes that I'm trying to fix in my head is where in the line, and the language says, may extend to a customer at such location for a reasonable time after 10 p.m. And a reasonable time shall be no longer than the time needed for customers who have entered before 10 o'clock. Each fireworks location is going to have, I can say, their own mind of what a reasonable time for a person is going to need to shop. How are we going, is there a way to reconcile that? Because I have the fireworks station that I have on Rainbow Boulevard and Southwest Boulevard may have a different meaning of a reasonable time than somewhere over here downtown of what after 10 o'clock means. So it's, how are we reconciling that? Or how can we reconcile that?
I think the fire department would agree with you that that's certainly a concern. That's a very vague statement that is going to be left up to interpretation. How do we enforce that? How do we enforce how long is a reasonable time for somebody to finish their shopping and make their purchase? I don't know. I think that's something that probably needs to be addressed within the ordinance.
Okay. I'm all for us maintaining and everyone's on the same playing field, but personally for me, that vagueness is very worrisome. And at first I wasn't in agreement of possibly sending back or holding over, but reading that and just vagueness is it's worrisome. And I want to see if we can work that out further. And if not, then we can just bring it back. But I do really want to look at that language more.
And that was one of the things that I spoke about when I spoke earlier. It's one, of course, it's one statement, but it's two different things that you're asking for. Additional, I don't want to call it additional time, but the softening of there has to be a stop time. It's no different than last call for alcohol or no beer sales at a game in the middle of the 7th inning. Just because you're in line all throughout the 7th and now it's the 8th, you don't get served. So it's one, we have to know that it's done. And not knowing that, having to loop back around after going through the other stands, that's the worrisome part for us. Not the 27th and the 28th of June. We can work that out. We can work the whole overtime thing out. But the not knowing exactly what time we're getting off, what time that can prove worrisome.
And I agree with that. So thank you for the work and thank you for being here. We will make the motions when it's at the appropriate time. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. Burns, District 2. I move we adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 15, Article 4.
We still have a commissioner who has a question. I will accept the motion, but I'd like for Commissioner Davis to weigh in. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Davis District 8. I just want to make sure I kind of understand kind of what's going on here, because I would say for me, as someone that lives in a area where, I mean, folks are illegally, right? I mean, there's a illegal activity of folks using fireworks and having to deal with that now. I just do have some pause on what are we doing, and I'm all for our small businesses and folks trying to leverage our holidays and other opportunities to make money and provide for their family. Absolutely, but I also want to make sure that we're able to do so responsibly and safely. How many fireworks stands right now, or let's just say for 2025, we're operating this year?
How many stands we have in the, just this past
In
4th of
Kansas
July?
City, Kansas, yes.
31.
31 within Kansas City, Kansas.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Because there was kind of the talk of county or city, but you all are the Kansas City, Kansas Fire Department, so we're
Mhm.
talking about city business here. So I wanted to make sure we've made that clear, and just to make sure I have the fees correct. It is how much to get a fire stand or to operate a fire stand.
So the initial $1,100 is for the stand itself.
Mhm.
Just this past July actually, it was approved in April, but they approved a $250 kicker to that to cover defray from some of the costs, I guess, for the overtime for this year. So I guess that would drove the
1350.
1350. But if your stand is over, I believe it's 3,000 square feet, the stand is not 1,100, it's 1,400.
Gotcha. And then does that 250 still kick in on
Yes.
top of that? So 17 or 1650. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. And you had talked about the technicality of the job of inspecting and how we couldn't necessarily just pull anybody right from prevention or suppression for it. What are some of the, can you give me like the top 2, top 3 technicalities that come with inspecting that would be different than somebody that is doing prevention or suppression?
Okay, so one of the biggest things that we see that's different, I mean, for us, as far as our everyday, the reason why we have to go to stands all the time is because there's or NFPA, there's not even supposed to be um, other flammable materials within the tent. So a lot of times they'll start to bring boxes and stuff in because they want their patrons to be able to carry stuff out. So we have to go through periodically, hey, you need to remove the boxes. You know the rules, let's stick by the rules. Or the parking lanes become a big thing. So as the customers pull up, some of them pull up in the car still running. So you're leaving a car running within 25 feet of a fireworks stand. It's not a good idea. So that sort of thing. Um, Everything else is the aisle egress with the aisle stuff, the fire extinguishers themselves, the licensing that has to be on hand all the time. That they're, even if you own multiple stands, you're not to take product from one stand and take it to the other. Now your inventory is thrown all the way off, but it happens. So we have to, it's those sorts of checks on a regular basis. Also, we don't just do fireworks stand inspections during that week. We're responsible for every fireworks display that goes on the city as well.
Gotcha.
So, and that is immense the week of the 4th of July. So even though there's 5 of us, it ends up being 3 many nights at closing time because 2 have to go and do the fireworks displays. Some of those require to, and that's where the additional chiefs, additional safety officers that you spoke about, though, that's where they fill in. They do the fireworks displays because it's more of a, it's keeping the safety perimeter at that point.
Gotcha.
Not that, but the inspector himself still is responsible to make sure that the chute goes off correctly, that all things are detonated, that nothing's found. Because we have, every year we have injuries because kids find stuff and decide that they want to pop it. So we have to make sure that all those things are done. Then we have to make sure that they're storing those right, they're removing them from the scene correctly. So it's what, I try to put it in a nutshell. I mean, we could
Sure.
talk all night about what
It's
we
quite
do.
a task about it.
Yes.
So, and I appreciate you sharing. So I understand kind of my colleague's zeal for wanting to move on with the matter. If this is sent back, because I do think there's a lot of questions here, and I do agree with my colleague, Commissioner Ramirez, I would like to see a definitive time, not for everybody to have their own definition of what that reasonable after hours looks like. And again, if we didn't have the problem with folks illegally doing fireworks and all of the other issues and accidents, I would feel a little bit differently. I do want to make sure that we are doing this the right way. My last question, when we increased it by 250 for the fire stands, was that sufficient enough to cover the staff time?
I don't believe so. Earlier on in this discussion, I did some very rudimentary math on what those extra 2 days would cost. And I believe it's going to be somewhere north of $10,000 just in the overtime. And that's just figuring on a 14-hour day. That's not figuring on the soft closing time that we're talking about and so forth. Not having done the math on what 250 times 31 is.
It's about 7750.
Yeah, and I also don't know that any of that additional money would be allocated to the fire department's budget,
Gotcha.
which has already been set for the year.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Lopez.
Just have a question, Lopez District 6, sorry. What is the repercussions? Like, let's just say I've never owned a fireworks stand. I'm just using me as a hypothetical. Let's just say I have a fireworks stand, and the time to close is what, 10:30? Is that right? Okay. I decide, the inspector's not around. I'm going to just keep going. I'm just going to, and then what's the repercussion that could happen for not closing right when I'm supposed to?
So first of all, it's going to have to be witnessed. It has to be witnessed. We can't just, another stand owner can't say, hey, I heard he was selling stuff past 10 o'clock. It doesn't work like that. If it's witnessed by an inspector, by a fire investigator, by the fire marshal himself, or the state fire marshal's office for that matter, because our fire marshal reports to the state fire marshal, and they're in our city at all times during that week. It's reported back that they're working outside of the approved rules that we have, the city statute, and it's up to the fire marshal whether or not he chooses to issue.
Well, I mean, wouldn't they, I mean, we got to look at the receipts anyway on the
Yeah.
revenue. So the
Yes.
receipt right there would tell you what time they were selling.
Not if it's cash though. So see, and this is a heavy cash transaction, so.
Right.
But
Delaney Lankachandra, UG Legal. Commissioner, the stop time is 10 p.m., 10:30, doesn't matter, in terms of the question, but if they do violate the terms of the license, it can be revoked, and the owner would not get a license for the next 2 years.
Okay, so why don't we put that in the language? Basically, if you want to, if you go past 10 o'clock, there's no questions. We're not going to mess with you. We're going to revoke you, and you're done in even the rest of this time, and even the next 2 years, and let that be known that now, because I know that 5 inspectors, 3 inspectors, whatever, can't be at all 31 at the same time. But let them know, hey, this, if you don't close, if you go past 10 o'clock, we're going to know, and you're going to get revoked.
right, I agree, which is which is kind of why, if I seem confused by why they want that weird little blurb to say we can just, as long as they're in the building, they can still buy. I don't understand that, because we spend a lot of time educating them on our expectations. They get the fireworks packet every year, so they know exactly what they can and cannot do. We reiterate those things throughout the week. Hey, make sure you got your inventory stuff here. People have multiple stands, so they'll start moving fire extinct, all that kind of stuff. It just happens. So I'm like, hey, once you start violating, we got to report it, because we take pictures. So as we close the stand every night, we take pictures. So if I'm sitting in front of your stand at 8 minutes after 10, and there's somebody coming out of your stand, or there's somebody in your stand, and we take the picture is the receipt. The picture is the receipt. So yeah, it will be revoked that year, and he has the ability to revoke it for the next 2.
Right. So is there in the language that could be put in that credit card transactions only, no cash? Is that possible? Because now we can keep track of, I mean, it takes the cash out.
You talking about, are you talking about,
I'm talking about legal here,
Oh.
as far as, I'm sorry.
I believe, Julian Alexandra, UG Legal. I, I believe that would be something you could put in the ordinance. We'd have to look into whether there are, I suspect that there are rules about not accepting.
Well, this is a special item. I mean, it's not very many cities that have fireworks stands, you know, so, and giving them an extra 2 days is more sales in their pocket, which is great. At the same time, say, hey, this is what, in order for us to go 2 extra days, these are our new rules. Plastic only, and if you go past 10 o'clock, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
I understand the reasoning behind it. I don't know the answer to that question. We'd have to look into it.
Okay. Legal?
Yes, Angela Lawson, Acting Chief Counsel. I would agree. That is definitely an item that we would need to research.
Because that would help keep track of all the sales tax revenue, number one. Number two, receipts, if they're selling past 10 o'clock. But at the same time, if they want to play by these rules, we're going to give them an extra 2 days for sales.
Right. And we
And it's a
understand the
win-win.
we understand the benefit to requiring credit card sales only. We just need to make sure that we don't run afoul of another law, state or federal.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Pacheco?
Thank you, Mayor. Carlos Pacheco, District 5. Thank you, Chief Womble and Captain Richardson. I don't want to belabor it too much longer, so I'm just going to ask one question. I'm not going to ask any follow-ups. From the way you see things, is there any benefit into what you do and your responsibilities that adding it 2 extra days to what you all need to do, that it's somehow in some way would make things better for what you're doing? And the line of thinking that I have is, does it give you extra time to cover more places because you don't have to do it in so many days and now you get a couple extra days, things like that? Do you see any benefit from your operations by extending it 2 more days?
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Excuse me, I believe the fire department would be of the opinion that we don't see any benefit to it. Certainly not from our perspective. Really, all I see as I look through this is downsides to the fire department. Extra man hours, extra cost, obviously, difficulties for the fire prevention division, more opportunity for there to be injuries at the hands of fireworks. So I don't see any benefit to it, and I think that would be the fire department's position.
Thank you. Commissioner Comp?
Comp 2 at large. Captain, earlier you had said that the June 27th would be workable. I think you've indicated, and told me, correct me if I'm wrong, that the more difficult part of this amendment would be the soft stop at 10 o'clock, the reasonableness after 10. I tend to agree with my colleagues, particularly Commissioner Ramirez, that's vague and that'd be difficult to enforce uniformly. So I think I would prefer to see this ordinance, if we do amend it, just amending the dates and not changing that 10 o'clock language to make it so tenuous and gives you guys more work to have to follow up with other fireworks stands after 10 because they still had customers. So I just wanted to clarify that that's a fair statement, and I have no follow-up questions. Thank you.
That absolutely was my stance, so yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
Yeah, I had another question, but stand by. I meant to put this together real quick.
5 seconds or the buzzer will go off. Thought that was appropriate.
Okay, so with 31 stands, okay, I'm just ballparking it like 1,200 for, because it's 1,100 to 1,400. That's, I'm just kind of meeting in the middle at 1,200. So that's 40,300. That covers overtime. Okay. Just a little bit of that covers overtime actually. But why can't, I'm just asking, but why can't like, Chief Rubin or, some of the other chiefs jump in and say, hey, you know what, this is going to be a busy time. Why can they jump in and help with the inspections and things like that just for one time a year? I mean, is that, like I said, I'm just asking.
We do.
Okay.
Historically, we do that anyway.
Mhm.
Several of us will go help with the closing of fireworks stands and so forth. But again, like I stated earlier, I don't have the training that Captain Richardson has for dealing with fireworks stands. I could certainly get it. We could do that. That's just additional training we would need to go get so that we would be prepared for that. And we would absorb some of that, but it's unlikely that we would be able to absorb all of it.
Right, but it
And
would help, right?
And related to the $40,000 that you mentioned regarding the permitting fees, I'm assuming that that money is already budgeted and allocated someplace else, not to the fire department's overtime budget. So there would need to be some sort of allocation of the fire department's overtime budget to cover the additional.
Well, I'm sure we can work that out in the end. I mean, we can work that out, we obviously sharpen our pencils and say, okay, this is where we're good. Some of this is allocated here, but we need to allocate some of this to the fire department for their overtime. Then, yeah, so, yeah, it seemed, I kind of lost my train of thought.
I think the
Sorry.
questions about the overtime and all that, that might be a discussion if you guys decide to move this. If you decide to move this on and vote on it, that's one thing. But if you want to push it back, I think those questions I think would be for that.
Yeah.
Because we can't solve that right here in this meeting.
All right.
But thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Good question. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very quick to Madam Clerk, to refresh my mind, what is the motion on the floor?
The motion on the floor is to adopt.
Thank you.
So Commissioner Stites.
Stites District 7. So I've got just a quick question. So, but for there being fireworks stands, what would the inspectors be doing if there were 0 fireworks stands in Wyandotte County, in KCK?
Are you speaking 8 to 5, Monday to Friday?
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, and I know that you would have to do the displays, right?
Right, right.
We're not talking, so, I just want to talk about the 31 stands.
Yes, sir. So
If you don't mind.
if there were no stands, the
Right.
only thing that we would be responsible for that week would be the displays going on throughout Kansas City,
And
Kansas.
those don't happen, wouldn't happen the 7 days.
Well,
I mean, generally speaking,
Truthfully, they-
they're, on the 4th or the night before.
well, no,
I mean,
they apply for
but
fireworks.
But some of them, right? I mean,
Yeah, they apply for fireworks display permits throughout. I mean, the Monarchs has one every Friday, so it just depends.
okay.
But we still have our own inspections of everything else, the 6,000 plus things that we inspect in the city
Right.
every year that get paused for that week.
And there's 0 budgetary impact with that, correct?
Other than, okay, so hold on. So if it's Monday through Friday during the week or whatever, our regular 40 hours, we have the ability to take comp time or paid overtime. So either one, there is always an effect if we're working outside of our 40-hour window. It's
Okay.
just how long are we working outside that window?
Yeah, and I get that. What I'm getting at is, so the 31, if it's $1,000 per stand, that's
Yes,
$31,000 that we're generating. That should easily cover the amount of overtime that we're asking for. If it's 6,000, 7,000, or 10,000, that's a profit of $21,000 because somebody has a stand. So overtime is absorbed into that cost, the operating cost.
that
There's no cost to the fire department. because it's being paid by the fireworks stand.
Okay, so the money that comes in for the fireworks stand, that $1,100 or $1,400 plus the 250, only the 250 was the only thing that was earmarked for the overtime for the firemen, not any of the rest.
Where does every penny go to?
That I do not know.
So where does the money go when somebody gets a fireworks permit for a stand? Where does the money go?
I'm going to interject here. Those permit revenue goes into the general fund. And I'll be first to say that all overtime of a department should be programmed. So you should have gone through a process to estimate the overtime needed to pay for fire inspections in the budget process. But I'm surprised that, I'm assuming it's done. Chief, have any insight on that?
Well, certainly we went through the budget process, but what we're talking about here, sir, is an additional 2 days that we hadn't planned for.
Yeah, that wasn't part of our 26 budget process.
Correct.
26 budget process, but
Correct.
in the future, even now, all the overtime needed for our fire inspection people are already incorporated in the fire budget.
I would say,
Yeah.
with the exception of those 2 days, I would say.
Right.
Right. Well, I'm sorry. You finished?
Yeah, sorry.
So no, I appreciate you jumping in there and getting, that's where I was going. This is already paid for. Fireworks stands are paying for it. It's going into the general budget, into the general fund.
But if you're asking for 2 additional days,
Right, but they're paying $31,000 now, and they're asking for 2 days. It's not $21,000 for 2 days. He just said that it was 10.
yeah, but the firemen, you all aren't asking for it. So we just need to go ahead and we've got a motion if there aren't any other questions. All right, so we've got a motion to adopt. I will entertain, there's a motion and a second. Roll call. Clerk?
Roll call. Hill,
No.
Pacheco,
Nay?
I'm sorry,
Nay.
thank you. Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
No.
Bynum,
No.
Kump,
No.
Howard,
No.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez.
No.
The vote is 7-3. The motion fails.
Thank you.
Mayor, I would like to motion to send that back to committee if that's possible.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second.
Bynum would second that. Specify
Oh.
Public Works and Safety.
Public Works and Safety to look at that language.
And I'm not trying to put those words in your
No,
mouth.
I appreciate it.
It was suggested that perhaps that is where it could go.
Yeah, to examine particularly the public safety side, that hard cutoff at 10 PM as opposed to that reasonableness, and see if we can flesh out that language. And also to take a look at whether the permits, the cost of the permits covers the additional manpower expenses for the firemen.
I
Okay,
am second.
we've got I will accept the motion and the second, but there is a question. Stites,
Site
Commissioner.
District 7, can we not exclude that language for the hard stop right now? And not have to send it back and then kick it down the road and then
Legal.
bring it back again and we go through all this again and before we know it, we're having another midnight meeting.
Legal?
Yes, there is a motion and a second present, but if there were not, then someone could move to approve only the portion that they wanted approved and not include the other changes. So that would be an option.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second to move it to Public Works. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Pacheco,
Aye.
Lopez,
No.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum,
Aye.
Kump,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Burns,
No.
Ramirez.
Aye.
The vote is 7-3. The motion carries.
Okay, so now we need a motion to exclude. You don't need it. Y'all send it back. Okay. Ooh, that was a lot. All right. We have 3 items scheduled under our administrator's agenda this evening. The first item is adopting a resolution to set the public hearing regarding the redevelopment project plan, TIF, for the Bucky's Family Travel Center. The proposed hearing date is January 29th, 2026. I will ask our county administrator, David Johnston, to introduce the item and present staff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This resolution to establish a TIF district was included in the development agreement that previous commission has approved last year. So this is just taking the formal step to establish the public hearing to set that up, the thing that was the TIF district, the plan that was included in the development agreement. To add any further explanation and information, we have Chelsea Chisholm, our Economic Development Director, available. Chelsea?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the commission, Chelsea Chisholm. So on December 8th, the Planning Commission considered this item. They found that it was in conformance with the Piper Area Plan as amended. The amendment was previously heard by the Planning Commission and adopted by the full commission here. So essentially, the redevelopment project plan is a procedural step contemplated by the state statute. It's just part of the process in order to create a redevelopment or tax increment financing district. This redevelopment project plan essentially starts the TIF clock, turning that incentive on. If there's any additional questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Oh, hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call. Hill?
Aye.
Pacheco?
Aye.
Lopez?
Aye.
Stites? Davis?
Aye.
Bynum?
Aye.
Kump?
Aye.
Howard?
Aye.
Burns?
Aye.
Ramirez?
Aye.
The motion carries 10-0.
Thank you. The next item is a presentation from our Public Works Department regarding snow operations. I will ask our administrator, Mr. David Johnston, to introduce the team for presentation.
Since we're in the midst of a season where we have unsteady weather, it's always good to be reminded about how our department, Public Works Department, responds to snow. And we have Troy Shaw, our Public Works Director, to make introductions, and I think you'll find the information very informative.
Troy Shaw, Director of Public Works. If you don't recognize me, it's because I'm wearing a tie, just so you know.
We recognize you. Look nice.
I'm going to introduce you to Dwayne Smith, our Street Department Manager, and he's going to give this presentation as his team is the one that is responsible for the snow operations every year.
Good evening, everyone. Dwayne Smith, Street Department Manager. Commission and Mayor, thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to present our winter operations.
All right.
Everything discussed here can be found if anybody wants to learn more at our wicokck.org/snow. They could be, all the information can be found there. So in Public Works Street Department, we work with a sense of urgency, safety being our primary concern, to restore traction back to the roadway after a snow event. Our goal and target is to, in a 12-hour time frame, is to restore traction back to the roadways of our hot and secondary routes after the last snow has fallen. Following that will be our neighborhood routes. Our goal is to try to hit those within 24 to 48 hours after the last snow has fallen. Our routes are broken up into 3 different sectors. We have our hot routes, which are our main arterials. Example of those are going to be Leavenworth Road, State Avenue, Parallel Parkway. You can find most of your emergency facilities, hospitals, fire stations, and police stations on those road segments. Our second are the secondary routes. Those are our collector streets that feed into those main arterials. Typically, you'll find schools there. And then lastly, our neighborhood routes, which is our residential streets and cul-de-sacs. It's very important to understand that every storm is different. So we have to prepare strategically in our approach to every storm. Storm intensities are broken up into 4 different categories. Minor, which is a trace to about 1 inch of accumulation. Moderate, 1 inch to 3 inches of accumulation. Heavy, 3 to 6 inches. And as we experienced last year, an emergency situation will be 6 or more inches of accumulation. This graph here breaks down the effectiveness of salt, road salt. As you can see on the graph, salt is at its best below the freezing temperatures. 1 pound of salt around 30 degrees Fahrenheit can melt about 46 pounds of ice. And as you see, the graph decreases, so does the effects of salt. Why is this important, you may ask? It's important because salt isn't always the answer. In most cases, or some cases, we have to utilize other sources such as sand. Sand also has its pros and cons as well. Sand is one of those things that after a snow is, or after the season is over, if it get into our storm drains, it can cause infrastructure issues with our stormwater systems. Also, sand has a freezing point that's typically freezes up in the back of our sanders that will further delay operations as well. Like I said before, every storm is different, so our approach is always going to be different depending on what we're dealing with. We do have a salt brine system that we make in-house, and we use that for pre-treating. And then if it's feasible, we will pre-treat. We also, a lot of people don't know that packed snow also provides a level of traction as well. Being mindful of our materials, using our resources responsibly definitely is going to help the taxpayers in the long run. Some of the challenges that we experience within our street department, of course, there's no secret that we have a major infrastructure failure issue. We have a lot of older streets. When these heavy plows are pounding these streets, it's really hard on these older streets. Salt also accelerates deterioration, and we continue to see the infrastructure failing. Another thing is limitations in our workforce. Currently, in the street department, we have a total of 31 work staff employees and 8 supervisors, with a core total in the street department of 39 employees. I say that because we're heavily dependent on other departments, such as the Parks Department, which we're gracious for. They supply us 10 employees to help with our snow operations, and then also Environmental Services, who also supply 3 employees to help with our services overall. And I'm happy to announce that we were able to onboard 3 new employees just within the last week or so. So we're working through the process with them. It's also important to understand that all of our employees don't come to us bearing CDLs. So there's a process in the onboarding process. They have about 6 months to obtain that CDL. And a person without a CDL cannot operate a plow truck. So that's important. We also had 2 veteran guys retire. One actually retired today. We wish them well, and hopefully we can bounce back and replace those guys. Currently, within our work staff of 39 total employees in the street department, 67% of our team has at least 1 year or less of snowplow experience. I say that because it's important to understand that our staff is young, and we have a lot of on-the-job training going on right now. So we ask that's one of our struggles. You may ask, why does this matter? I'm sorry. We have a growing community as well. Our workload grows as our community grows. We maintain over 2,400 lane miles. And I'm gonna use a comparison because we often get compared to this municipality, Overland Park. They maintain 2,000 lane miles. But as you can see that they're heavily staffed at 139 employees. That's 100 employees more than what we have. Now, why does this matter? The thing that matters the most is even though we give our best efforts, right, the facts will always remain the same. We maintain individually more lane miles than anybody else. So of course, that's going to defer and that's going to take longer for us to do operations. And as I mentioned before, we have a goal to be able to hit our hot and secondary routes within the first 12 hours of the last snow that's falling. We struggle with that because of the deficiency of our staffs. The limitations with our staffs, some of the issues are that we burn out a lot quicker because we're smaller, which makes it more dangerous for our staffs to be in these plow trucks for a longer period and extended times. In that last storm that we just recently experienced, December 1st, I myself had to jump in the plow and help my team. That's just what we do. When it's work to get done, we do it's all hands on deck. And it was a struggle, I'm not gonna lie. Working a 12-hour shift, maintaining my guys, and also providing updates on our operations and monitoring the weather. It's a lot. But like I said, the job needs to get done, so we do it. And we do it to the best of our abilities. I'm proud of my team. I do want to say that these operations are not sustainable, as we all know. So we have to do something about it. And like I said, we'll just do our best, the best we can, but this is not a sustainable option. I will say that I am excited to announce that we will in the near future be introducing it's a system, it's a fleet tracking system called Precise. We've been working through some kinks and trying to figure out all of the drawbacks before we introduce it. So I'm not going to give a timetable, but in the near future, you can look forward to that. That's going to be a fleet tracking system. It gives us data collection and also tracks coverage of our services. And I'm excited about it, and you can look forward to that coming soon. Ways you can help us. There's multiple ways that the community and you guys can help us. Number one, avoid driving during storms. Number two is a big one. We run into this issue all the time. We have a lot of smaller streets. We have vehicles parked on the roadways and in the streets. It makes it very, very tough for these plow drivers to get down those streets. ICE does not care how big your vehicle is, you will slip. And our big trucks, we do the best we can to get through those areas. So if you can avoid parking on the street, we would greatly appreciate it. Secure your mailboxes, push the snow to the right side of your driveway, and please encourage your friends and families to not play in large piles of snow or sled into the streets. For emergencies, please reach out to 911 or non-emergencies or 311 system. Some frequently asked questions that we get that we come across a lot is one, why isn't that truck plowing my street? It could be a multitude of things. These dump trucks and plow trucks are workhorses. They work sometimes, most times, 24 hours, 24-hour shifts all around the clock. So they do break down from hydraulic hoses to plow chains, you name it. So a lot of times when you see a truck passing your street with the plow up, he may be headed to the shop. So why is snow blocking my driveway? Again, we encourage residents to push the snow on their driveway to the right side of your driveway, or you can just wait till the truck passes through your neighborhood. What knocked over my mailbox? Everybody's mailbox is built to be able to withstand the roll-off of the force of snow. So please remember to double check your mailboxes and make sure that they're secure. And lastly, why is that snowplow not applying salt to my roadways? Again, that's a loaded question, and a lot of times it's because that operator is probably headed to another route, or he's trying to get loaded, or he may be out of material. So that's the end of our presentation. I appreciate you guys again for the opportunity, and now I'm open for questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Commissioner Lopez.
Lopez, District 6. Yeah, I just had a quick question. I've noticed from last year to this year, There's snow on the streets, but the plow trucks are driving around with the plows up and dropping and spreading salt right on top of the snow, which that was just odd to me. Yeah, I've just never seen that practice before.
So a lot, it depends on the snow, right? So if you're looking at a trace, right? If this is a minor snow event and we have some type of accumulation, we will just treat. There's no need to plow. Of course, our infrastructures are failing, our streets are weak. We need to preserve them as much as possible. So we would just utilize salt at that point. There's no need to plow. That's typically probably what you're seeing.
Well, what I was seeing was, the snow was being basically packed down by the truck with the salt on top, and then would melt a little bit, and then when it got cold that night, it would freeze. But I see your point too.
Mhm.
You start dropping the plows and plowing, and it causes more potholes, right?
Correct. No, I'll speak to that. So a lot of times too, like I said before, packed snow provides a level of traction, right? So if we got these frigid temperatures, it makes more sense to be able to have the material down. And then if we drop the plow, now you're dealing with a sheet of ice. So we have to be strategic on the way we approach these things. It's kind of it's up and down. So it's like either we have an ice rink or we let the snowpack provide that traction.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. County Administrator.
I just want to add a couple things. We had reference about use of sand. It does have its limitations, has its drawbacks, as we were told about going and providing challenges to our storm sewer system. When I lived and managed a community in the Seattle market, we learned a hard lesson about solely using sand when it comes to ice and refreezing and all that. Sand polishes ice and can make the roads far more dangerous to drive on. So that's why we have a heavy reliance on chemicals and not on sand. We think it adds traction, but tires on with going on ice that has sand on it, it polishes the ice and makes it impassable. I remember in Seattle, they had a policy where they did not use salt or any chemicals on the road, but they always use sand. They had an ice storm. They put sand on it, and we had on TV news buses going down the steep hills sideways because they couldn't stop because of this previous volume of traffic polishing the ice with the sand. So that's an important thing to remember, that it is a line of defense, but it's not a primary line of defense.
Correct.
The calls that I get, the citizens are always comparing KCK, Wyandotte County, to what's happening in Johnson County. And I think you need to take a look at what is Johnson County. It's a whole different complexion of development. It's primarily a suburb type development. When you look at KCK, we got the old part of town with the narrow streets and old streets. As you go further west, we become more rural with the hills and lower density development. And so when you look at the terrain and the volume of roads and territory that we are responsible for compared to Johnson County, it has 30-odd communities that each have their own team to clean off their suburban-style streets. They have far more people. He talked about the staffing at Overland Park, but times that by the 30 communities in Johnson County that have smaller territory that they have a responsibility for. We have river, state line, out to Leavenworth County. The river south to Johnson County. We have two smaller jurisdictions that take care of their roads. So we have a whole different type of different profile of the responsibility, and we just ask for patience. with what resources we have to provide the street department to do their job. It's not optimal, as Dwayne told us, but they do the best that they can. And yeah, we get impatient because when the storm happens, we expect to be able to drive on it in 3 hours. Don't expect that. But they're out there trying to serve us the best that they can. And I'm proud that the work that they do with the amount of resources that they have to use. So Dwayne, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does any commissioner have any other questions, comments? If none, thank you. This item was for information only. The last item is a presentation from our Public Works Department announcing the recent accreditation conferred by the American Public Works Association to our Public Works Department. I will ask our administrator, Mr. David Johnston, to introduce the team for presentation.
It's an honor to be able to introduce our Public Works team to talk about a certification that the department has received and why that's important. There are a lot of departments in municipal government that go through a process to get recognized that they are meeting professional standards as an organization. I think we're all familiar with the police department and their CALIA process. That's a rigorous process that department has to go through and prove to outside professionals that they're meeting those standards. Troy will be talking about what his department went through and achieved this distinction of being accredited, which shows that we are department on top of things. And so Troy, would you please explain accreditation and introduce your team?
Troy Shaw, Public Works Director. If you can't believe it, I get to talk about a topic that I'm overjoyed to talk about because when I'm standing in front of you, I'm not always excited to talk about the stuff I have to talk about. So
That's why you wore the tie, right?
that's exactly why I wore the tie. No, I'm really proud to be able to stand up here and am honored that I'm in this position to be able to say these great things about the team we have. You heard Dwayne just talk about the snow operations. Dwayne's team has done a great job. Street Department is included in this accreditation through APWA. The work they do was recognized, and they are operating within 1% of the cities throughout the country. APWA is American Public Works Association. It's our national governing body for public works. I believe through the accreditation process, there is a little under 1% of the cities across the country have reached this accreditation. It's not because some of them aren't qualified for it, it's because it takes a lot of work to do it. And a lot of organization and a lot of policies that are written down. And then, as David noted, reviews from outside other cities across the country that came here and reviewed us and looked at our policies and practices and said, yes, you deserve to be accredited through our organization. So I'm very, very proud of this. And we'll play a short video that Dave Reno made. And then we'll have Bill Stogstill, who's the regional director of APWA, say a few words, and then I'll end up with a closing, and hopefully we can take a picture and honor the team. So that's quick kickoff. If we want to start the video, then we'll keep moving. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm proud to share that the Unified Government Public Works Department has officially earned national accreditation through the American Public Works Association. This recognition confirms what our community sees every day. The Public Works Department operates with excellence in all areas of our service, operations, and planning, and that we do this together as one unified team. Everything we do adds up to a clear message. The Public Works Department knows its work, owns its responsibilities, and performs at a standard worth sharing with the people we serve.
Accreditation is a great way to let your governing body know and the general public that you support that you're on top of your game. You're amongst the best of the best as it relates to public works agencies.
Accreditation reflects the high standard of work happening in public works. When I hear APWA accreditation, it means that that agency has undergone the rigorous task of reviewing all policies and procedures of every division to ensure that it meets and exceeds the standards set aside for 1% of all agencies worldwide. At the end of the day, everything we do is for the community we serve.
The community that we work for, we put in the work all the time. We're public works, it's what we do, but they don't really see it. The work that we do is it's below ground, it's behind the scenes. They see us when we show up with our snowplows. And I think that being able to show that we're an accredited agency, not only shows our team, but our community that we're there, we're doing the work, and we're meeting very high standards.
Jody is absolutely right about the visibility of public works. Fleet Services is a good example as their work focuses primarily on internal customers, allowing others to serve the public at a high level. Accreditation helps people recognize that even the work they may not always notice reflects a serious commitment to doing things the right way.
So generally, public works professionals aren't really great about blowing their own horn and telling their own story. Being accredited really gives you a chance to do that. It's get in front of your elected and your citizens and let them know that you're in the top tier and you're doing things the right way.
Our culture is built on teamwork, respect, and accountability, which helped us to get to accreditation. Day to day, being a part of public works means showing up for each other, stepping in whenever needed, working together across divisions, and even being short-staffed, we still solve challenges. We take great pride in serving the neighbors and keeping our city moving.
Accreditation reminds us that what we do every day makes a difference.
It means every job we take on meets the same high standards.
We take pride in serving our neighborhoods and keeping our city safe. And we will keep improving and finding better ways to serve.
All right. If you don't mind, commissioners and legal and board clerk, do you all mind standing and let's give them a round of applause? Thank you. We're so proud of you guys getting that accreditation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If there are any, do we want to? We want to take a picture?
I'm going to have Bill Stogsdill, who's the regional director with APWA. He decided to come in and he's going to say a few words.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
You are welcome, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
My name is Bill Stogsdill. I'm the Region 6 Director for APWA. APWA is made up of 62 chapters across the United States and Canada, broken into 9 regions. I'm the Regional Director of Region 6, which encompasses the Kansas City metropolitan area, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, and Manitoba. Now, while that is my territory, I'm local to here. So some of my fondest memories and earliest memories are here in Wyandotte County, whether it was the dozens of concerts I went to at Sandstone Amphitheater, and I don't care what you change the name to, it's always going to be Sandstone Amphitheater. Or one of my earliest core memories right across the street over here, going to Memorial Hall, watching wrestling, or actually I believe in the early 80s, it was still called wrestling at that time.
Wrestling.
So just wanted to let you guys know that I'm a local here. I'm the Public Works Director in the city of Fairway, Kansas. So I had a 9-minute commute or something, so it wasn't too bad. But this is a day of celebration for the Public Works Department. As you know, and as you can tell by the unnatural amount of high visibility colors in the audience,
Yes.
this is a time to celebrate Public Works. As it's been mentioned before, less than 1% of Public Works agencies across the United States, there's roughly 30,000 of them, only 276 have achieved accreditation. Less than 1%. That means that the folks in Wyandotte County are doing things right.
Yeah.
So accreditation is a mark of professionalism indicating a public works agency has made the commitment to continuous improvement in the delivery of public works, operations, and services in the community it serves. Accreditation recognizes an agency's policies, procedures, and practices which have been evaluated against nationally recognized management practices determined to be appropriate for that specific agency. A team of evaluators of experienced public works professionals from Iowa, Texas, and California reviewed 355 practices to confirm the department's compliance with internationally recognized management practices applicable to this agency's operations and responsibilities. I am proud to report that the department achieved over 99% in full compliance with only one substantial compliance. Following the evaluation team's recommendation, the Accreditation Council of APWA granted full accreditation to the Unified Government of Wyandotte County's Public Works Department. And also, not only is that exceptional, they also achieved 4 model practices, which means they are doing it better than anyone else.
Woo! Love it.
Which in my tenure,
Yeah, Public Works.
which in my tenure as a regional director and one of the greatest honors I get to do is come and celebrate Public Works in front of great people like you. This is the highest amount of model practices I've ever been a part of.
Wow.
So,
Come on, y'all, give it up.
so I would like to congratulate Director Shaw and a special recognition to Samantha Merritt, who is the accreditation manager. Also redubbed tonight Chief Cat Herder. So she has to herd all the people together. All the stuff
Okay.
together.
Cat.
So let's give everyone a round of applause.
Public Works, stand up. Everybody here from Public Works, stand up. All right. Woo! Y'all want a picture?
I got one more thing I want to say. I'm probably
You're
gonna
not
hurt
done
myself
yet?
here. This is not rehearsed. So one thing we pride ourselves on in Public Works is our culture and leadership. We want everybody to be a leader no matter where you're at and whatever level. We had a lot of input from the whole staff for accreditation and what it took to get there. I have not asked this question, so I hope it turns out well. How many people that at Public Works were involved in a meeting, in a practice, talking about this to get accreditation completed? Raise your hand, please.
Woo! Woo!
And that's just a small sample of the people that here. I think almost everybody from the top to the bottom in Public Works were involved in this accreditation process. And we started this in 2021, and it's taken us this much effort to get through the process, and we're there, and we appreciate it, and we've got a great team. And what I hope that everybody gets out of this, from the elected officials to our staff to the public, is that everything is not always going to be perfect. We understand that. But what we're doing, we know what we're doing, and we're doing it the right way. We're doing it the way the rest of the country's doing it. So,
You're doing it better than the rest of the country.
thank you.
Been
So,
99%.
yeah. So when there's an issue and something doesn't go your way or doesn't go the way the public does, please reach out and call us. We
Yeah.
would love to talk to you or the public about that issue and solve it the best we can. So that's really what I like. I appreciate out of this the most. So I'd love to have a picture and it'd be great.
Troy, thank you so much for your leadership. And to all of you, we're so proud of you. Y'all keep doing what you're doing. You're showing us what customer service looks like, and I'm ecstatic about it. County Administrator wants to say something.
I guess before the picture, well-deserved honor. Thank you very much, team, for taking this extremely seriously and owning it. It's one thing to be accredited. I think the regional director said the biggest challenge now is to continue at this level so you can be reaccredited in a couple of years. So 4 years. So you reached a standard, we got to keep it, because you're going to be re-reviewed and judged again, because our goal is to keep this accreditation for another 4 years after this one ends. So thank you very much, team.
Thank you.
Take a quick photo.
All Public Works team, get up here.
I'm tall enough, there you go.
Good.
You need me to get him back? Gee, let me get him back. Oh, man.
Think PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, it's pretty. All right. The man. It's supposed to be.
Probably not.
All right, we're moving right along. All right. We are now under the mayor's agenda this evening. This first item is adoption of a resolution authorizing the adoption of the 2026 legislative program for the unified government. I will ask our county administrator, David Johnston, to introduce the item and present staff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. About this time every year, we bring to you a legislative agenda that will be that if you accept it, will be forwarded to our legislative delegation to know where Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas stands on key legislative issues, not just facing our local jurisdiction, but we're part of Kansas and we need our state legislators' attention on many fronts. The only way they know that is if we tell them that, and that's the purpose of the agenda. Alan House, one of our assistant county administrator, works very closely with our lobbyist, Mr. Paul Davis, who will be presenting the agenda here shortly. And we've talked with directors. We had this before the commission and our legislative delegation from the state last month with the commission that was sitting at that time. And we just bring it to you for further discussion and hopefully adoption so we can get it into the hands of our state legislators in Topeka. So without further ado, I'll introduce Paul Davis, our lobbyist. Mr. Davis?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, County Administrator. Well, you've had fireworks and then snow and ice, and now the state legislative agenda. I won't comment on what trajectory we may be on. Maybe the fact that we've lost most of the audience here says a little bit about it, but I want to first offer congratulations to the mayor and to the new members of the commission. I've had the opportunity to spend some time getting to know the mayor this week, and I look forward to getting to know all of the new members of the commission. I also want to thank Alan Howes, who I work very closely with. Alan has got a good eye for what's going on in state government, and he's really a pleasure to work with and has done a great bit of work in putting together this agenda. Just so you know where this agenda comes from, the UG used to have a big, long agenda. It didn't quite rival War and Peace, but some accused us of maybe heading in that direction. And what we heard from members of the commission and we heard from our legislative delegation is that we really need to pare that down and really clearly state what our priorities are. And over the past couple of years, that's what we have tried to do. We work closely with the League of Kansas Municipalities, also the Kansas Association of Counties, and really just in the past year, we have started what I think is a great collaboration with the Big Five counties, as we call them: Sedgwick, Johnson, us, Douglas, and Shawnee. And we've been having some very good discussions, and a couple of the items here in this agenda come from that collaboration. And so what I'm going to do is just walk you briefly through this, and then want to entertain any questions that you have. As the county administrator said, what we traditionally do is we have a joint meeting with the Wyandotte County delegation, which we had on November 20th, and we ask for their input on these issues, and we try to continue the dialogue throughout the legislative session, and also when we're not in session, so that we can look towards our next legislative agenda. So the first item on the agenda is protecting Medicaid. This is a little bit different from what we have traditionally had on our agenda, and that is a statement about our support of Medicaid expansion. I think for those of you who have been following the legislature, you are pretty well aware that the issue of Medicaid expansion has not received a great deal of traction in the legislature, and we don't expect that that's going to change in this coming year. With what has happened at the federal level, though, states are now going to be in a position where they're probably going to be asked to be devoting more dollars towards Medicaid to make up for some of the cuts that are coming at the federal level. And this is a critical program, obviously, for many residents of Wyandotte County. And what we are asking the legislature to do is to protect that funding for Medicaid, and at the same time still reiterating our position that we support the expansion of Medicaid. Allowing for flexibility of revenue sources. Historically, and this is really over decades, the legislature has taken different actions that have led to constriction of local government's ability to be able to raise revenue. And these issues are frequently debated over in Topeka, and we want to make sure that the legislature knows loud and clear that in order for local government to be able to meet its needs, we have to be able to have a degree of flexibility in revenue sources. For example, the legislature oftentimes passes new sales tax exemptions, and those sales tax exemptions don't just apply to the state sales tax, they also apply to local sales taxes. So every time they add a new sales tax exemption, and they are now in triple letters. It's not A, double A, and now we're in triple A. That's how many sales tax exemptions are out there, and every time they do that, it affects us. The issue of rising property taxes. Those of you who are out on the campaign trail, I know you know very well that this is at the top of the minds of many Wyandotte Countyans, and it is at the top of mind of most Kansans. This will probably be the predominant issue in the 2026 session. And our message to the legislature is that we want you to meaningfully reduce property taxes, but at the same time, do not infringe upon local control. One of the proposals that was made during the last session that the Big Five counties came together, and also this was the position of the League of Kansas Municipalities and the Kansas Association of Counties, is to oppose an effort to amend the Kansas Constitution that would place an arbitrary cap on valuation increases that would really lead to a system of what many believe would be unfair valuations. And so that is embedded in this statement as well. Another hot button issue that all of you know a lot about is supporting infrastructure funding. We are nearing, we're over the halfway point of the 10-year IKE transportation program. The legislature will be asked to authorize a new 10-year transportation plan. So far, the legislature has been able to honor the commitments that have been made in that plan, but every year we have to look very carefully at making sure that we're going to preserve that revenue stream so that those commitments are made. We know that we have bridges right here, Central Avenue and Kansas Avenue, that we want to get reopened, and making sure that KDOT is funded and the IKE program is funded is critical to that. The issue of childcare access is become kind of a mainstream economic development issue in many ways, and it's an issue for so many working families. The legislature has taken some steps to enhance childcare subsidies that are offered by the state and to look at trying to reduce some of the regulatory burdens on childcare facilities in a responsible way, and we hope that they will continue to do that as well. A number of years ago, I think back in about 2012, the legislature passed a law that took away local government's abilities to require the payment of prevailing wage in local projects. That was really tied to something, to what we did here at the unified government. And there have been a number of efforts to try to repeal that law. Commissioner Kane is not here anymore, but I think all of you on the commission can probably hear his words in your head right now. This was an issue he was very passionate about, and really is an issue about local control. Increased funding for mental health and substance abuse. The legislature has made some strides in that area. I think all of us probably know that there is much more work to be done, and that will be an issue that many units of local government and many other advocates will be pressing forward, hoping that the legislature will take some additional strides on in 2026. Expanding housing availability and funding for the unhoused. I think some of you and many of you are probably aware of the actions that were taken to restrict the LIHTC program, which has led to a lot of good projects here in Wyandotte County and around the state of Kansas that is being phased down. And the legislature may be looking at that again in the 2026 session, but the housing needs that are here in Wyandotte County also exist across the state, and I think many legislators will be interested in this issue. At the end of this year, the current STAR bonds legislation will expire, and the legislature will have to take action during this legislative session to reauthorize that STAR bonds legislation. They made an attempt at doing that in the 2025 session, but it didn't fail. It basically ran into a few other roadblocks and the lack of time to be able to get it through. But there are a number of intricacies within the STAR bonds legislation that are controversial. But I think folks in Wyandotte County know that STAR bonds have been an important economic development tool for this county and will undoubtedly continue to be. Public education funding, obviously very important to this community as well. The legislature has been looking at revising the school finance formula. At first, we thought that that was going to come back to the legislature in the 2026 session, but it now appears that it is going to be deferred until 2027. But this is something that we're going to have to keep a very close eye on, and I think be very vocal about, because they are talking about changes to the school finance formula that may be detrimental to Wyandotte County. And we need to make sure that if there are changes to the formula, there are things that are not going to hurt our schools here. Legalization of cannabis. This has been one of the topics that usually has generated a good bit of discussion in our joint meeting with the legislative delegation. If you paid any attention to the news today, you may have seen that President Trump has reclassified marijuana to a Schedule III drug. After that was done, the head of the Kansas Bureau of Investigation came out with a statement reiterating that marijuana is still illegal in Kansas. I sort of enjoyed the headline of the news article. It said, Kansas not hot on pot. But medical marijuana has really been sort of the center of this discussion, and there have been a number of proposals. There have been times when that issue has gotten some traction, but there have been some legislative leaders that really have not wanted to move forward on that. This is a new item in our agenda, is funding for sewer and stormwater. Communities that have older infrastructure, like this community, have significant needs in terms of storm and sewer, and we're looking for the state to try to help us with some of those issues, and that's why we put this on the agenda this year. One of the issues that has come from the Big Five counties is funding for motor vehicle services. When you pay a motor vehicle registration fee with the county treasurer, you might think that some of that money or most of that money is going to stay with the county. And in reality, almost all of that money goes to the state. And it has really, as our county treasurers have had to modernize their systems, and they've had increasing registration demands, the money that they get to do that is very insufficient. And so that's something that the Big Five counties have come together on. And lastly, the SNAP program. Protecting SNAP, there are about 19,000 Wyandotte Countyans who rely upon SNAP benefits. You've seen the debate that has occurred at the federal level and also has occurred here at the state level. And protecting SNAP is something that's going to be very important to this community and as that debate unfolds. So lastly, I might just say that we track dozens of bills. I can't tell you how many bills there are that touch local government in some shape or form. I think we tracked almost 70 bills during the last session. We typically provide testimony on maybe a dozen to 15 bills. We work, as I said before, closely with the League of Municipalities and the Kansas Association of Counties. And oftentimes, you may hear from me during the legislative session about issues and looking for folks who might be willing to come to Topeka and testify. Commissioner Ramirez came and testified on an issue during the last session, and we certainly welcome anyone. If you have certain issues that you are interested in and would like to come give testimony, it really makes a difference for legislators to hear from local elected officials, folks who are in the trenches and really know how these bills are going to affect their communities. And so I would just very much welcome your interest in that, and look forward to any questions that you have about this agenda or about our legislative process and program.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners?
Bynum, move to approve.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Clerk, roll call, please.
Roll call. Hill.
Aye.
Pacheco.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Kump.
Aye.
Howard.
You have to go ahead and vote.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-1.
Thank you. Commissioner Howard, you had a question?
Thank you for that. Quick question. So the last one, it says illegal tire dumping enforcement.
Is that still a legislative item?
I may be looking at a different copy. Maybe Alan can help me out here.
Alan House is County Administrator. Commissioner, are you asking kind of what is the context around that?
Yeah.
Why is it on there? Yeah, so this was kind of a late ad that came to us from our blight group that has been working on blight. And one of the things that they identified was that illegal tire dumping is something that, you know, they come across a lot and it happens in batches generally. So, I mean, you get the onesies, Tuesdays, but you also get ones where you've got 30, 40, 50 tires. And tire haulers are entirely state regulated. So we don't have any local control over over tire haulers. And so the state of Kansas has one official that is enforcing tire hauling regulations for the entire state of Kansas. So you can kind of draw the line there. There's not a whole lot of oversight of what's happening here. And so what this item is saying is that the state of Kansas through KDHE, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, really needs to step up their enforcement of the tire haulers that they are charged with overseeing, because the effects of that are impacting our community with costs associated with that for cleanup, as well as, you know, the general problems around dumping.
Thank you. Administrator Johnston.
Just going to add that, I'm going to add that since we've been having a concerted focus on blight and cleanup, that team has shown us the volume of tires that have just been dumped on the side of the road throughout our county. Just on Caw Drive alone, in the first 3 cleanups of Caw Drive, they collected over 120 abandoned tires, just dumped on the side of the road. And we've had other sites in the county that they've cleaned up, and adds to that number. It is amazing how people are just unilaterally driving down our roads, pull off the side, and deposit trash and tires so they don't have to go through proper disposal of those things on their own. Yet then our team has to follow up and clean our area to get it to a respectable look. But it is a problem in Kansas City, Kansas, Wyandotte County. We have evidence of that. And if there needs to be testimony, we can surely send the right people, Paul, to testify.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez.
Lopez, District 6. So this might be a legal question. It could be PD question, all the above. But the code enforcement, the community policing that are catching illegal dumpers, and there are cases when there's tires involved, now does that get that individual hemmed up with KBI or KDHE, so to speak, I guess, instead of our PD, our sheriff's department or whatever, but now that now would get them hemmed up with the state and not with the city. If that's
I don't know.
I-
Legal.
Angela Lawson, Acting Chief Counsel. I think that's the intent of the request, is that to allow for more local and either more local enforcement or more beefed up state enforcement.
so instead of our DA or our police department charging that individual, now the state is coming down on them. And
Well, the haulers are regulated by the state, and this would either advocate for allowing joint control, so we could also regulate, or for the state to beef up their enforcement.
it just seems like the fines aren't getting the point across. And now the state comes after them. And, you know, KBI or whoever, KDHE or whoever, now is at their doorstep.
Yeah, yes, and that's the procedure now, but I don't believe they have enough resources to be effective.
And this is
Okay.
Al now, Assistant Administrator. So there's 2 things there, Commissioner. There's the illegal dumping. If somebody was caught in the act of illegal dumping, our municipal code allows for fines on that. And then the KDHE would probably be more on the licensing side of it than the kind of the criminal side of that. We could investigate the statutes more on the state side, but that's really there are two facets to that. But the challenge is it's hard to catch people in the act. And as you know, there's efforts now to put cameras in place and to do more to be actually able to do more direct enforcement against people by catching them doing this.
Thank you. Here, okay, if we don't have anything else, I will entertain a motion. Oh, you did. See? It's after 9 o'clock. Okay. Next item under the mayor's agenda this evening is approval of the 2-year meeting schedule for the Board of Commissioners and Standing Committee meetings. I will ask our County Administrator, again, David Johnston, to introduce the item and present staff. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
These are one of the
Great job.
items that I actually get to delegate to our
Board-
clerk,
Mhm.
Monica Sparks, because she's really in charge of the calendar and all that. So Monica, would you please present?
Thank you, Monica Sparks, UG Clerk. If we can have our document put up on the screen, one of the charges that a newly elected body is charged with is setting your 2-year calendar. Our code of procedures is very clear that says you shall make this happen. So tonight is the night that you all get to decide how many meetings a month you want to have. We have given you 2 options. Our current code of procedures says that there are to be 3 meetings a month. The first and third Thursdays are to be for regular Board of Commission items. The last Thursday of the month, which is sometimes the 5th, is for planning and zoning, with the mayor having the option to add additional items to it. There are exceptions to changing those from Thursdays if there's a holiday, et cetera, et cetera. It also states that the start time is 7 p.m. That has not been our practice in the past. Sometimes practice and policy don't always keep up with each other, and this is one of those cases. So tonight you have the ability to say, if you're going to do 2 meetings a month, and in your package you have option A, which is the 2 meetings a month. 2 meetings a month still means that you will have 2 Thursdays, both will have regular Board of Commission meeting items on the agenda, but the last meeting will also include planning items. I'm getting some confusion looking from some of our commissioners. Let me rephrase that. You will still have 2 meetings a month. Both of those meetings will include all of the regular items that you hear all the time, which could be anything from standard approval of minutes, economic development, any of those items that would normally come forward. But the last meeting will also include our planning and zoning meeting. So it would be a combination Board of Commission and planning and zoning. That's your choice for option A. Option B would still comply with the current code of procedures, where you would have 3 meetings a month. The first and third would simply be your regular Board of Commission meetings. The last meeting would be designated for planning and zoning, with any exceptions that the mayor could add if there was some item that needed to come forward. Again, all of them start at 7 o'clock, so if you want to change that start time, this is where we would need to do that. This is how we would need to bring these items forward. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them. Our office works very closely with the legal department to make sure that we've got everything in order for you. Standing committees, first Monday before your regular commission meeting. So that stays at 1 meeting per month. If you've looked at your options, you will see that sometimes a meeting may be on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday. In particular, we know that World Cup is next year. And we found out that one of the World Cup matches is on a Thursday. So we changed that meeting to a Wednesday, so everyone could take advantage of the World Cup while it was here in town. We also have on some of our Mondays, those are holidays, so we would move the standing committee to a Tuesday. But again, it is the option of the commission, whether you want 2 Board of Commission meetings a month or 3.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Um, I I will say I would support the three. I like where we have two meetings that is just UG business and normal day-to-day business, and one where it's just planning and zoning. Or with the exception that the mayor may need to add some items on it just to keep business going. That makes it more efficient. Um, because as we all know, on planning and zoning agendas, those days can go pretty long if we add regular business to those agendas. Again, with the exception if the mayor needs to add anything on. I think the three is perfect, allows us to do the work and stay more efficient, and hopefully, this is our first meeting, working out the kinks, but we can be a little bit faster in the work that we do. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramirez. Commissioner Burns?
Would it be possible to have the two meetings with planning and zoning on each detail, each one of them?
This is Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. The reason we can't now is because the notice period required from when an item leaves the Planning Commission, which only meets once a month, to when it comes to commission. You have to have, I believe it's 14 days in order for someone to be able to file a protest petition. So that's why we have it at the end of the month and the Planning Commission meets towards the beginning of the month. So we wouldn't be able to put them on two meetings. We'd still have to have it at the end of the month. If we needed to carry something over to continue it, we could always forward it to the next, but that's only after it's already had that 14 days between the Planning Commission meeting and that next full commission meeting. So if we wanted to continue it, we could to the next full commission meeting, but we couldn't have two planning and zoning items without that 14 days in between.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Evelyn Hill, District 4. You mentioned we could change the time from like 7 maybe to 6 or something like that.
Or 5:30?
5:30, noon. Okay, I'm sorry. It slipped out. I'm sorry. But thank you. I just need to make sure we had other options as far as time. Thank you.
Absolutely, you do.
So any of the options could include a 5:30 time, for example? Okay.
Yeah, Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. Again, if anything is changed from what the ordinance currently states, which is 3 meetings a month,
Mhm.
beginning time at 7, end time at noon, what we would do is midnight, not noon. Oh, I wish. Thank God. no.
Oh, gosh. Oh.
If anything is adopted that is different what the current ordinance is, what we will do is next month, we will bring you an amendment to the ordinance to reflect whatever you all passed tonight.
Okay. Commissioner Davis?
So I am for us keeping our meetings at twice a month. The hope is that we would become more efficient with our time and
Yes.
we would get a lot of the hard things, policy conversations out of the way at the committee level, or at the very least have a strong enough consensus from half of the board so that by the time Thursday night comes, we are able to come to an agreement and consensus and then act. I do have some hesitation given we are a blue collar community on starting at 5:30. Maybe if we go with that route, we can put things like information only items and presentations and some of the proclamations. I know we had our staff waiting here quite a bit to be celebrated. Some of those things at the 5:30 level, and then some of the meatier stuff at 6. That way, folks that are getting off work, or you might be putting getting the kids dinner, whatever, that they're still able to make it. I just don't want us to overcorrect 7 o'clock is too late, in my opinion, for us to be starting. 5:30 might be a little too early, depending upon if it's something that's meaty. So just something for consideration, but yes, I would be for 2. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
And I can let the commission know, because some of you weren't here and you didn't vote on it, but for those that were here, we did make changes last month to the format of our planning and zoning meetings. One of those changes is that there is no longer a public hearing, that is all done at the planning commission level, so that will reduce that amount of time. Another change is that any commissioner can pull an item, but a member of the public can only pull one item, and that is the only person that can speak to that item, so that we don't end up in a public hearing. And we have limited the time for developers to 15 minutes.
So it's a new day. All right, so we had several options. Board Clerk, can you give me the options again
Option A,
so that I can get a motion?
yes. Option A in your packet is to have 2 meetings a month. Right now, they begin at 7 o'clock. You have the option to change that time. 2 meetings a month would be the first Thursday and the last Thursday of the month, so back to back. You can also change that. And the first meeting would be Board of Commission, regular unified government, business only. The last meeting of the month would be also unified government, regular business only, plus planning and zoning. Option B is what our current code of procedure states. You would have 3 meetings a month. 2 of those would be regular business meetings. The last meeting of the month would be dedicated to planning and zoning. If any items needed to come forward with the mayor's approval, we could add that to that meeting.
Okay. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was prepared to make a motion, but I see other commissioners have questions, so I will hold my motion.
Okay, Commissioner Pacheco.
Thank you, Mayor. Pacheco, District 5. Quick clarification, are we able to vote on the time change now, or is that a?
Yes.
Yes. So option A and option B can include a time of 5:30 PM.
That is correct.
Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel, the way you would do that is you would, in your motion, you would say, I move to choose option A
With the time
with the
change.
change of a time starting at. when-
Whatever time you want to choose. I'm allow you, attorney. Go ahead.
Thank you. Acting Chief Counsel Angela Lawson. If you make the time change, you will still see us bring the ordinance back
Yes,
to you.
we know.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, attorney. Commissioner Lopez.
Lopez, District 6. Now, what if we did like a 3 meeting a month, but then like,
A pre-meeting.
actually, we're doing a 2 meeting. We're just using that 3rd meeting as a standby or stand-in for like a spillover. Like if something like, you know what I mean? If we were cutting off at 10:30, 11, or not, I'm sorry, I don't want to say that long. But if it's starting to get late, you know, then we have a cutoff and then make that spill over into, you know, like a reservoir sort of, so to speak, I guess.
Commissioner, you are publishing your 2-year calendar, so you will have these meetings published for the public. There would be an expectation that a meeting would be held unless we issued a formal notice to cancel.
Okay, so like, but we could change it in the language though, right?
You could.
I mean, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. It's just, okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez. Commissioner Ramirez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to make a motion to approve option B for our 2-year schedule with the change to the start time of 5:30.
Can I get a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
And I'll take roll call right here. Roll call,
Please
Hill.
do. Oh,
Oh.
okay, we have to go ahead and accept the motion, but we do have a question. Commissioner Hill?
Yeah, I just want to make Okay, I wanted to make sure I understood. His motion was to accept B, which is 3 meetings a
3
month.
meetings a month with a time change of 5:30. Okay,
Thank you.
roll call, please.
Roll call. Hill,
Aye.
Pacheco,
No.
Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
No.
Bynum,
Aye.
Kump,
Aye.
Howard,
No.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
The vote is 7-3. The motion carries.
That is option B. Repeat that for me, clerk.
Option B is 3 meetings per month. The first 2 meetings will be regular Board of Commission meetings. The last meeting will be dedicated to planning and zoning with a start time of 5:30.
Thank you, clerk. This does start in February, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Okay, good job, everybody. All right.
Oh,
Yes, Commissioner Stites.
You can't put an end time in there, can we?
Yeah, we can. We'll wait once it's amended. All right. The last item, we're going to end on a high note. Mayor's agenda this evening is a proclamation, and this is from Mayor Garner honoring Vertus June Robinson Day. I will read the proclamation. Whereas the late Vertus June Young Robinson, a trailblazing public servant whose leadership and dedication greatly enriched Wyandotte County and the state of Kansas, and whereas Vertus Robinson began her service to the community through early work with the DJ Young Publishing Company and later with the city of Kansas City, Kansas, rising from meter maid to director of parking control, demonstrating determination, excellence, and integrity. And whereas in 1989, Vertus Robinson became the first African-American woman appointed to the Kansas State Legislature, marking a historic milestone and setting a powerful example for future generations. And whereas during her legislative tenure, she was appointed to fill the unexpired term of 2nd District Wyandotte County Commissioner, subsequently won election to a full 4-year term, serving with distinction until the creation of the unified government in 1997. And whereas Vertus June Young Robinson worked tirelessly to advance social progress, founding and leading multiple federated women's Democratic clubs, serving on the NAACP Kansas City, Kansas branch board, and holding leadership roles, including vice chairman of the Democratic Central Committee, co-founder and president of the Rebecca Vincent Federated Women's Club, and president of Democracy, Inc. And whereas throughout more than 3 decades of public service, Vertus Robinson distinguished herself through strong leadership, civic involvement, and a commitment to fairness, opportunity, and community empowerment. And whereas her contributions were recognized with numerous honors, including the Chair's Special Service Award from the Kansas Democratic Party, the NAACP Go-Getters Award, and the Pride First Sweetheart Award, reflecting her respected standing in public life. And her family was named Black Family of the Year by the Urban League of Greater Kansas City. And whereas her legacy as a public servant, mentor, advocate for social justice, and an inspiration to future generations of leaders continue to uplift and strengthen our community. Now, therefore, I, Crystal Watson or Tyrone Garner? Tyrone Garner, former mayor, CEO of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim December 12th, 2025 as Vertus June Robinson Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. All right. Do I present this? Go give it to him? What I do? Are y'all here? Come on up. Let me get it.
Oh, 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 careful. Oh, good, Danielle's got the picture.
Okay. All right, with no further business to come before the governing body, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Hill,
Aye.
Pacheco,
Aye.
Lopez,
Aye.
Stites, Davis,
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye, and congratulations to all of our new commissioners and our mayor, and welcome back and congratulations. to their
Congratulations to
reelection.
everyone.
And I.
Kump,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Motion carries 10-0. We're adjourned.
That concludes our meeting for this evening. I'd like to thank you all for your attendance. We did it in 3 hours and 2 minutes. Good.